Apex welcomes you to the Nashville Superspeedway in Lebanon, Tennessee, right outside of Music City. 43 drivers will hope to make beautiful music and win one of the most unique trophies in all of NASCAR, a Gibson guitar.
For our invocation and remain standing for our national anthem. Our invocation today will be by Jonathan Richardson, and with our national anthem, Category 5 recording artist Craig Hand. Brother Richardson.
Try that again. Father, we thank you for this day you've given us. We pray, Lord, that you would protect the drivers and crews of this race. We thank you, Lord, for our fans. Bless them, Lord, as they enjoy this race. And Father, on this Easter weekend, we thank you in the name of the risen Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, oh, the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? Thank you.
Here at the Nashville Superspeedway, opening. We'll come back and have the green flag for today's Pepsi 300 here in Nashville.
There must have been a dozen of them walking like a Ross. There wasn't one Lincoln and there wasn't one Dodge. There wasn't one Japanese model made. Just pretty Cadillac Tennessee kids.
Hope you're having a great weekend. We are at the Nashville Superspeedway just outside Music City, USA in Lebanon, Tennessee. Glad you're with us here. This race is presented by Subway. You're watching NASCAR on FX. Now, Larry McReynolds, the question I have for you is, it's a warm day, unusually warm for this time of year. Plus, we've just concluded an ARCA race where the competitors in that series use a different kind of rubber. So what will we see on this racetrack, particularly early in?
Well, I think the one thing I like about Nashville Superspeedway, it's a concrete surface. It's more predictable. You can anticipate changes it will go through more so than if it was asphalt. But as you put it, they just ran a 150-mile ARCA race here that runs a different compound of tire. Now, we know the racetrack will get back to the Goodyear-type rubber eventually, but it's kind of like hold on those first few laps. But the biggest thing, Steve, this is a 1.3-mile speedway. They're trying to run around here averaging over 165 miles per hour side by side, and it's a very line-sensitive hit-your-mark racetrack. We'll see cars go in, and they'll take off the racetrack. So it's a fine line between underdriving and overdriving the speedway.
And we look at that lineup, we see the Nextel Cup regulars, the Kevin Harvicks, those kind of guys, but also a young Danny O'Quinn, just 20 years old, up there near the front as well.
Well, for the first first time this year I see 4 of our non-Nextel Cup regulars in the top 8. Last year, we only had 2 drivers that won races in the Busch Series that was not a Nextel Cup driver or affiliated with a Nextel Cup team. I really feel like when I look at this lineup, we could see the first one of 2006 go to victory lane.
It has happened 6 times in the 9 events here. You know what time it is here on this Easter weekend, don't you?
It's not time to hunt Easter eggs, is it?
Well, no, not yet. Not yet. But as you like to say, it is time to get her done and get this party started. Let's go down trackside and light the fires. Denny Hamlin will start the race from the pole position.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, for the most famous words in motorsports, we turn it over to Mr. Gary Wood from Save-A-Lot. Hey, let's get them going.
Drivers, start your engines.
Now it's time to go racing here in Nashville. We'll take a break and come back. NASCAR Busch Series Racing on FX is presented by Subway. We'll be right back to Nashville.
The Busch 300 on FX is presented by Subway. Drive hard, eat fresh, and brought to you in part by Dodge, by Go RV, and by FreeCreditReport.com.
Getting ready to start the Pepsi 300. NASCAR Busch Series Racing on FX is presented by Subway. Let's take a look, Larry McReynolds, at our race analysis.
There you see it, 225 laps, 300 miles, pit road speed, 45 miles per hour. This pit window, 70 to 75 laps. That's for fuel. And that always becomes an interesting story here because this tire here does not give up that much, especially late in the race. Do we pit? Do we stay out? 2 or 4 tires. Huge deal right there.
See, the grid has started to roll out onto the racetrack. Let's check in with Matt Yoakum.
Steve, as the cars roll off the grid, one guy who would love to get one of those Gibson guitars, and that's the 5 of Kyle Busch. Now, they brought a brand new race car here to Nashville, and Lance McGrew and Jim Long kind of helped out. Chad Walter was set up because Chad had never been here before. Sure, a lot of teams use this place to test, but he never competed here as a crew chief, so they leaned on their teammates. But Kyle, very strong in practice, qualified 17th. He caught the sun. He didn't catch a cloud during qualifying, but they looked very stout in practice. Jeff Hammond?
On this end of pit road, been watching what's been going on with Erin Crocker, the 98 car. Believe it or not, you know, she just got through running the ARCA race, which was just prior to this Busch Series event. But they had high expectations for running the double today. But Erin is now sick on her stomach. I got a chance to talk to Ray Evernham prior to this, and they were trying to find somebody to stand by in their pit area in case she had to have relief. But unfortunately, because of her size, there are not a lot of drivers that can fit down in her seat. They tried to get another ARCA driver, developmental Dodge driver, Chase Miller, to get in the car, but NASCAR said he couldn't be approved for this series. So they're still waiting, hoping they can find somebody in the event. She has to get out of the car, but Ray looked at her and said, young lady, you're going to have to toughen up and get it done for at least a little while till we find somebody that can go in here and help you out. So hopefully she'll be able to go the distance, but she is feeling kind of bad right now as she rolls off the pit road.
Thank you, Jeff. She finished 14th in the ARCA race, got as high as 3rd, but ran out of gas. Stephen Wallace also doing double duty here this afternoon. Rusty's son, he finished 10th. Now, let's take a look at what happened earlier today. Ron Hornaday in the 33 car had problems, Larry Mack, in qualifying.
Yeah, he said the car felt really good through 3 and 4, coming to take the green flag. But when he drove it off into 1 and 2, it felt good, and you'll see it right here. He'll go down there, this is on his first lap, he'll clip the apron, and the car got loose right there as he picked up the throttle, hard into the outside wall. They had to unload a backup car. They'll start shotgun in the field, no practice on that car.
Meanwhile, at the front of the field, Denny Hamlin goes back-to-back pole positions at Texas and again today in Nashville.
The first repeat pole winner of 2006. And he had to wait all the way to the last car because the man that won the race and sat on the pole a year ago was fastest in practice. Reed Sorensen, but I think going late somewhat hurt Reed.
Jeff Hammond with some late breaking news on Todd Cleaver.
Well, for Todd Cleaver, another good run for one of the Rouse cars, going to be rolling off 6th today here at Nashville. But he and his crew chief, Mike Kelly, had a pretty decent run going at Texas. They didn't have the results they were looking for, but they've been saying all week long that all the homework that this team's been putting into this car should show up here today at Nashville. And they really feel like that they can get it done. A minute ago, he radioed Mike Kelly and said, well, guys, today we get a chance to find out where we really stand, if we're as good as we think we are or not. But look for Todd Cleaver to be one of those rookies trying to finish in the top 10. Got a solid ride so far.
And of course, he's second in the Robestos Rookie of the Year points battle to Bernie Lamar in the 77.
Take a look at the drivers making their very first start on this racetrack, 11 of them in all.
And a lot of those cars were awfully good in final practice last night.
Actually, 12 drivers making their first Busch Series race at this racetrack. And now let's take a look at our onboard cameras. On board there with Clint Boyer. Boyer has a win here. Kevin Harvick.
Our points leader, 149-point lead after 7 races.
The shy one, Kenny Wallace.
You think he talks to himself while he drives?
I think he has to. Also, Mark McFarland in the Navy car will have an onboard view for us. You know, getting back to Kenny Wallace, he said during qualifying earlier today, he is really anxious to get his season turned around. Thought they'd be a lot better than they are to this point.
And I'm sure they had this racetrack circled on their calendar. He finished second in both of the races last year, 2005.
Kenny Wallace 19th in points there in the 22 car. He's ahead of J.J. Yaley there in the 18.
And a good thing I did see in the ARCA race that we can have some side-by-side racing here. We've been here 9 times. Like a lot of the concrete racetracks we've been to, like Bristol, Dover, it's just taken a number of years. We first started coming here in 2001, a number of races. You can see how black it is, but that black seems to have moved up where we can have some side-by-side racing. I even saw some passing on the outside.
Jeff Hammond.
Guys, just listen to the chatter on the radios. These cars are warming up before the drop of this green flag. And Clint Boyer in particular was calling back and letting everybody know that, hey, this hues of rubber, now, Larry, you've talked about it, on this racetrack is going to probably create a lot of trouble for a lot of these guys when they drop the green flag. So look for a lot of cars be sliding around trying to wait for this stuff to get worked off and get the Goodyear rubber down.
And it's not that the Hoosier tire comes from a different rubber tree. It's just a different compound, and it makes it slick in the beginning.
And you said earlier today they're just going to have to know in their minds and just try to relax a little bit there at the end until that track comes back to them.
Remember, it's 225 laps, 300 miles.
Light is off atop the pace car. That means we're getting ready to cut them loose here at the Nashville Superspeedway.
Let's get this Saturday Easter party started here at Nashville. What do you think?
I'm with you, Larry Mack. Green flag. The Pepsi 300 is underway here at the Nashville Superspeedway.
What Clint Boyer in the 2 car would like to do is, if he cannot get by on the outside of Denny Hamlin, looks like he's got a pretty good run, and he got a great run on the outside, and here comes Reed Sorensen in the 41 following him.
Hamlin has to drop to the inside as Sorensen goes by in the 41. Boyer has the lead down into turns 3 and 4.
Comes Paul Menard in that yellow 11 car as well. There's good fight up there in that second groove right now.
Drag race between Hamlin and Sorensen across the start-finish line. Danny O'Quinn behind them.
Boy, Denny Hamlin, there you go. Something happened to him down in the middle of turn 3 and 4. He's going to lose a number of positions as he was side-by-side with Reed Sorensen.
Kyle Busch around off of turn 2. Another car behind him. Caution in the air. Caution waves. Trouble for Denny Hamlin. He slides up the racetrack. Kyle Busch in the 5 goes around. Take a look at what happened to Kyle Busch, Larry.
There you go. The car was on the bottom, and it just took off with him, walked up the racetrack. That's what I say. It's like very treacherous out there right now. The track does not have a lot of grip, it looks like, on the bottom.
What's going on with Kyle Busch, Matt?
Well, the good thing, he really dodged a huge bullet here, Steve. He just came on the radio and said to crew chief Chad Walters, I don't know what happened. It just spun around. And a lot of people thinking back to what Jeff and Larry talked about earlier in the show about the Hoosier tire rubber still down on this racetrack from the ARCA race a little earlier today.
Under caution early here, the Nashville Superspeedway. Trouble for the pole sitter, Denny Hamlin. Kyle Busch goes around as well. We'll be back right after this. Take a look at what just happened to our pole sitter, Denny Hamlin. He goes up the hill, Larry Mack.
It looked like Danny O'Quinn in the 50 did not touch him, but he ran up there on his rear bumper and takes the air off the rear spoiler. Looks like he got loose and just walked up the racetrack.
And we understand that Denny Hamlin has been summoned to the NASCAR trailer for a little post-race chat.
And what it may have been is he didn't really slow down possibly when the caution came out. You know, the goal of this freezing the field is immediately, safely get your speed down. And I'm not sure Denny Hamlin in the 20 actually did that when the caution came out. He may have been a little upset because of what happened down there in 1 and 2. But no one got into him. He just got loose, looks like because O'Quinn took the air off his rear spoiler.
The caution was displayed for Kyle Busch, who spun off of turn 2. Also want to mention that Stanton Barrett in the 72 spun behind him. Barrett has been to pit road and is back out on the racetrack.
And that's really the only 2 cars here at lap 4 that came to pit road were the 2 cars that spun, Kyle Busch and Stanton Barrett.
We're getting ready to resume racing here in Nashville. Light is out atop the pace car. Here you see Kyle Busch.
He's going to be back in the 42nd position.
Clint Boyer posted as the leader. There's Barrett. Boyer followed by Reed Sorensen in the 41. Danny O'Quinn in the 50. Paul Menard in the 11. Kevin Harvick in the 21.
All our cars still on the lead lap, so now we've got a single file restart. Clint Boyer in the 2 gets about as good a restart as he did at the start of the race. About Boyer, he has 4 starts here. In all 4 starts, he has finished in the top 5. The only position he has not finished in the top 5 is 2nd.
On board with Clint Boyer, he's only led 3 laps this season. He's already led, or will lead, his 6th lap. All 6 of them here today.
See right there, we got quite a battle for 3rd going on. Paul Menard in 11 really starting to put a lot of pressure on Danny O'Quinn, but Jeff, looks like that 11 car is pretty good.
Larry, when I talked to Paul right after qualifying, he was really hoping that upper groove would kind of come in. He said if we could get that outside groove working, we could really let these cars sail around this racetrack. So don't be surprised to see him trying to work his way on the high side. He knows if he can carry that momentum off these turns, he can really gain a lot of speed around this racetrack.
And Jeff, he already is. He was running about a half a groove higher than Harvick behind him. Look at Johnny Sauter in the 00. Michael Waltrip in the 99. 3 wide there for a moment with Matt McCall in the 90.
This is a battle for about 24th back there. Now we've got Kevin Harvick, our points leader, drives by Paul Menard in the 11. That was a battle for 4th.
I mentioned Matt McCall in the 90. He's one of the Robert Yates Racing development drivers. One of the Yates drivers won the ARCA race earlier this afternoon, Stephen Light.
There you see our pole sitter, Denny Hamlin, in the 20 car. He's up in the 7th position after regrouping, getting loose down in 1 and 2 right before that last caution came out. And 2nd in the points right now behind Kevin Harvick.
And right behind Todd Cleaver in the 06. Boyer has led every lap here early in this event.
And right now, looks like, for the most part, everyone's content to be single file. But I'm going to tell you what, our leader right now just caught Stanton Barrett a lap down car going off on turn 3. And Reed Sorensen in the 41 car has really run up on the back of Clint Boyer.
Stephen Wallace in the 64 by Aaron Crocker in the 98. Wallace, the son of NASCAR legend Rusty Wallace. Stephen finished 10th in the ARCA race here today.
And Stephen started back in the 35th position. He was fast in practice yesterday. He was the very first car to go out and qualify this morning, and the car just had no grip. It just was not down into the racetrack.
Wallace bearing down on Johnny Sauter in the 00. Sauter listed in the 25th position. And as we said earlier, Sauter has 2 second-place finishes to his credit here. Said he got loose in qualifying. Meanwhile, back at the front, here comes Reed Sorensen in that 41.
Well, we talked about the success Clint Boyer has had here. Reed Sorensen last year, you mentioned it earlier, a race a year ago, led 197 225 laps and finished third in the June race, and he is all over the back of this 2 car right now. This is the same car that he had so much success with here, their 2 races last year.
Sorensen's first career win coming here a year ago in this race.
And he's had a rough season, you know, after a great rookie season last year, 2 wins, a couple of poles. Right now he sits 17th in the points, 116 points out of 10th, and only has 2 top 10 finishes, the best of 9th at Daytona. So just he has had some problems, like he had engine problems, 2 engines down in Mexico at the road course.
And Larry, last week at Texas, you know, the roll bar padding came out of his window, and by the way, he was not penalized by NASCAR for that infraction, but I was in his pit area, and he had been complaining to crew chief Brian Patty about a vibration. That car was vibrating so bad, it sounded like he was underwater. I mean, it was shaking his vocal cords. That's how badly that car was shaking.
So that's maybe why he threw the piece of roll bar pad.
I didn't say he threw it.
That's where you were trying to lead me, though. You opened the door, and I walked through it.
He denied it. He said he doesn't know what happened. Okay. In any case.
That was last week.
That was last week. Sorensen taking a look to the inside of Boyer.
He just can't quite complete the pass, but I'm going to tell you what, he's going to get to that quarter panel there. Clint Boyer got a little bit loose down in turn 3 and 4, moved up the racetrack. Now Reed Sorensen in the 41. He'll take the lead.
Sorensen takes the lead for the first time on lap 15 away from Clint Boyer. 225 laps make the distance here at the Nashville Superspeedway. NASCAR racing continues here on FX. Reed Sorensen looks dominant here early at the Nashville Superspeedway. He is your leader. He took the lead away from Clint Boyer on lap 15 on board with Boyer. Jeff Hammond has more on the number 2 car.
Steve, what's going on with the Clint Boyer car is the car's a little loose right in the center where Clint needs to pick the throttle up to be able to get off exit under and a lot of speed. So they're going to just kind of back off right here a little bit. They went in and let Reed Sorensen take a look at the 20 car. Denny Hamlin making a move on Danny O'Quinn there. But that's what they're hoping to do, get themselves a caution, tighten that car up, or the racetrack may come to them a little bit and liable to be a little bit better later on. Otherwise, everything's okay as far as Clint Boyer is concerned.
Yeah, Jeff, and I tell you, and you know this about this place, I'd be real hesitant unless it's just real loose of tightening that thing up too much, because I think you can very easily jump the fence at this place. Next thing you know, you'll have the front tires sliding on into this race. But yeah, Denny Hamlin, he just went by both of the Roush cars. He went by first Todd Cleaver in the 06, and then he just drove by Danny O'Quinn in the 50.
Kyle Busch brought out the first caution opening laps of this race. He spun off of turn 2. There he is in the 5 car up into the 26th spot. As you see, he's rebounded all the way from 42nd.
Yeah, he's done that in just 17 laps. So got a pretty good race car, and I think we saw that in practice.
See him bearing down on the 56. Kevin LePage aboard that race car. Kyle Busch makes the pass. Just ahead of them, Johnny Sauter in the 00. Goes by Joe Kaufman in the 12.
And I think you can see how much faster Kyle Busch in the 5 happens to be than these other cars. I think what he's got to be here is know we've got a long way to go. He's got a good race car. Don't get impatient here. Just get them as you get to them and take your time getting around them. Plenty of time.
Back at the front, Reed Sorensen has led 10 of the 24 laps. He's out in front. He's also the defending champion of this race. Trouble in turn 2. We'll stay here and see what happened. Trouble. 23, Chris Wimmer got into the wall, Larry McReynolds.
Yeah, making only a second start of 2006. They have attempted to qualify for every race. He qualified at Bristol. Hard crash there. Looks like their day will be done with this 23 car. Chris was running in the 34th position, still on the lead lap.
Chris, the younger brother of Scott Wimmer. Heavy damage to the right side of that Chevrolet. Bringing out the caution for the second time today.
Well, I definitely think this was probably a caution a lot of cars were looking for 26 laps into this run. Probably the only one that didn't want to see it. He wanted to see a caution at Texas. He didn't today, and that's Reed Sorensen in the 41 car. You just heard talking about Clint Boyer wanting to make changes on his car. So this is probably a pretty timely caution for a lot of cars.
David Odell in the 07 gets the free pass.
And I tell you who else that was probably a big break for, Aaron Crocker. Of course, we talked about her before the race, not feeling that great. She was just about to go a lap down in that 98 car.
Pit road will be open as the pace car brings them down into turn 3. As Jeff Hammond reported, Aaron Crocker not feeling well. She and Stephen Wallace both raced in the ARCA race earlier today. Stephen Wallace finished 10th. Aaron was 14th.
Pretty unique pit road here. You enter in turn 4. You come down pit road, and then you pretty much exit on an excess road out through turn 1 and 2. Now, it looks like our top 2, Reed Sorensen and Clint Boyer, stayed out. Everyone else is hitting pit road. Jeff Hammond.
Well, hell, not right now. Everybody's playing a little bit of cat and mouse right now. The 41 gave a little bit of a fake. The 2 is going to come with him, but for Paul Menard, the 20, Denny Hamlin, the rest of the crew, they all hit pit road.
Yeah, Jeff, that's the only cars that did not come was Reed Sorensen and Clint Boyer. Everyone else on the lead lap, which is basically 33 race cars, hit pit road.
Why, my crew chief friend?
I'm not sure, and I bet you when they looked in their rear view mirror, they went, rut road.
Matt Yoakum knows the answer.
Well, Steve, a lot of guys deciding it was too early to pit. Some said, let's pit right now. Aaron Crocker on her way into her stall. Close call by Paul Menard exiting his box. Now, Crocker sounds actually pretty good on the radio. She was giving a great debrief to Trip Bruce, her crew chief, just about that race car. How it was so loose on entry, she felt like that was really hurting her exit, making it just so tight. So Trip and Ray Everham talking on the box about what adjustments to make. But it's almost like take a number. TJ Bell stopped down to the pit. AJ Foyt the 4th. And Curtis Davis came down. He has his helmet ready. It looks like he may be the one that gets the call if she has to get out.
Well, we talked earlier that this tire does not fall off that much. And the good thing is the 2 best cars right now looks like they stayed out. So they may be okay. Plus, they have another set of tires left that the other teams won't.
Under caution, we'll come back to Nashville and get things restarted right after this. Under caution for the second time today, Chris Wimmer, the 23, brings out the caution, and after pit stops, Mac, the big winner appears to be Kyle Busch.
Well, but here's the deal. They decided to fuel only. That way they were in sync with everyone else that pitted, but they did not change tires. Remember, he had to use one of his sets of tires early in the race. In the Busch Series, unlike Nextel Cup, you have limited number of sets of tires to work with, so now he's on even keel as far as tires with the 41 of Reed Sorensen and the 2 of Clint Boyer. Probably not a bad. He couldn't afford to use another set of tires right there.
And Reed Sorensen and Clint Boyer electing not to go down pit road, so we'll see how that works.
And that one of their best friends could be Kyle Busch in the 5 car because he's on even tires with them.
So it'll be Reed Sorensen, Clint Boyer, Denny Hamlin, Kyle Busch, and Kevin Harvick. Carl Edwards up into the 6th position, followed by John Wood, Paul Menard, J.J. Yaley, and Kenny Wallace. That's your top 10 as we prepare to restart.
And that car on the inside, Regan Smith, the 35 car, had to make a green flag stop a while ago because it was overheating. They had to pull tape off that 35 car. Kyle Busch in the 5 looks like he may have spun those older tires on the restart, lost a lot of ground right there. Reed Sorensen up the racetrack. There goes Clint Boyer. Denny Hamlin almost made it 3 wide over there in the 20 car.
Looked just like the start of the race when Hamlin went up the hill.
He got boxed behind Reed Sorensen in the 41, and meanwhile Clint Boyer has pulled away with quite a lead. It's such a line-sensitive racetrack. You miss your mark by 6 inches, up the racetrack you'll go.
On board with Kevin Harvick. He tries to clear Regan Smith in the 35, and he does so.
But meanwhile, Kyle Busch in the 5 went around the outside of Regan Smith in the 35.
So everybody at the front neatly in line now, led by Clint Boyer, Reed Sorensen, Denny Hamlin, Kyle Busch, and Kevin Harvick as they haul the mail down into turn 4.
Now, here's what Clint Boyer and Reed Sorensen does. They do not need. They do not need a caution to come out right away, because if they have a caution come out in the next 10 or 15 laps, they're almost going to be forced to hit the pit road, if nothing else, for fuel. They need this to be a fairly long run with them staying out front in clean air.
Smoke or trouble in turn 2. 56, the orange car driven by Kevin LePage, brings out the caution for the 3rd time.
I'm going to tell you what, though. I looked up as he was coming down the racetrack. You will not believe how close David Odell in the 07 car came to clipping him going through there. Now, I mentioned our 2 guys up front, Clint Boyer and Reed Sorensen. They did not want a caution. I think that one came soon enough that it shouldn't affect their strategy. I think they've still got to stay out. They can't afford to come in now and go back to 33rd and 34th position. They're going to have to stay out right now.
See the damage to the rear of Kevin LePage's race car. So turn 2 has been the hot spot here. Pole sitter Denny Hamlin got loose just 2nd lap into the race. Kept it off the wall. Kyle Busch spun around, bringing out the 1st caution also in turn 2. And Chris Wimmer wrecked on lap 25 in the same spot. Now Kevin LePage has damaged his race car heavily also in turn 2. We'll take a break here at the Nashville Superspeedway. 3rd caution of the day. Clint Boyer is your leader, followed by Reed Sorensen, Denny Hamlin, and Kyle Busch. Under caution for the 3rd time, Clint Boyer in the 2 car there is your leader, followed by our pole sitter Denny Hamlin. Under caution for a wreck involving Kevin LePage off of turn 2 now. While we went to break, Mr. Reed Sorensen in the 41 car decided to hit pit road after choosing not to do so on the previous caution. Matt Yoakum has that story.
Well, Steve, one of the reasons why the 41 team didn't pit when rest of the field pitted, there was a car that was involved in a crash, and it was sitting on pit road in the box right before the 41s, almost blocking their box. And so they felt like it was better to wait than to sit there and have an issue here on pit road. Who knows what will happen as far as when the next caution will fall, but that was one of the biggest reasons why Brian Patty decided not to pit when the rest of the field pitted.
Well, and again, sticking with my strategy of not saying this was a good call or a bad call. But here's the problem. He's not off sync with anybody. He pretty much is on the same agenda as all the other cars, because we only ran 1 lap after that last restart. Now they went from having a car that was up in the top 2 to 31st position. And he has no advantage on tires. He has no advantage on fuel. He has no advantage of nothing. I just believe, a lot like Clint Boyer, the 2 car, I would have just went ahead and stayed out Jeff Hammond, knowing probably we will get another caution not that far down the road.
Larry, you're probably right about that kind of assessment. The key thing right now, I think, with Clint Boyer and their strategy right now is they're going to get an opportunity to see this racetrack go through really its first full transformation. They'll know how far they can go on tires, and probably when they make their adjustments in their stop, if they go about another 30 laps like they hope to, then their car should be closer as far as being dialed in the proper way with the right kind of air pressure. So this kind of strategy, in my opinion, should really play out for them and be a lot better off for him. So when he makes that stop, they'll make the right adjustments, and they should be in a pretty good shape as far as the rest of the race.
And again, I want to stress, the only thing that could burn them is if we go about 10 or 15 laps and get another caution. Then they're almost in a box because of a fuel window. We talked about the top of the show, 70 to 75 laps on fuel. They're getting close to well over halfway through this fuel run. That's when it gets a little bit of a gamble to still stay out if they get that caution in the next 10, 12, 15 laps.
As we said, our 3rd caution flag. The record here is 11. Clint Boyer, who won here June 12th of last year, is your leader. Green flag.
Boy, John Wood, he got a heck of a restart on the outside. It looks like Kevin Harvick in the 21 got boxed in behind Kyle Busch. That spun his tires again on the restart, and they started stacking up behind him.
Boyer followed by Hamlin. Boyer in the 2. You see him 2 wide, stacked up behind him. John Wood in the 47.
And that's the downside, especially on concrete. We see it at Bristol. We see it at Dover on the older hot tires, is not getting them cleaned off and spinning them on the restart. But what John Wood did in the 47. It's perfectly legal. You can pass to the outside once the green flag has been displayed, even if it's before the start-finish line. Perfectly legal move.
Once the flag is displayed.
Yes.
There's John Wood riding in the 3rd position. He trails Denny Hamlin and Clint Boyer. There's a great idea of how fast this racetrack is. As Larry McReynolds said earlier, over 165 miles per hour. In qualifying, they're averaging 160 on that last lap.
Two of our Busch Series regulars right there. Kenny Wallace in the 22, David Green in the 27, battling for the 9th position. Both guys definitely need a good run here at Nashville today.
David Green won this event back in 2003. 3 wide.
And this is Reed Sorensen in the 41 car trying to work his way through. But I think the thing he has to do, just like Kyle Busch did earlier, be patient, Matt Yoakum. He knows he has a good race car.
But Larry Mack, he doesn't have to be patient and go easy on the tires. Brian Patty told him on the radio, the tires look great. Go ahead and abuse them and get that car back up to the front.
Just abuse the nose of that race car. That'll get you in trouble at this high-speed track, though.
He's trying to get by Jay Sauter in the 0-1 and Mark Green in the 4. 59 is Stacy Compton behind Sorensen. Sorensen posted in the 25th position.
Yes, so already in about 5 laps, he's made up almost 10 positions.
Heavy traffic in front of Sorensen. Look at those cars there. From Mark McFarland's race car, he drives for Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Riding in the 17th position right now. This group this morning, I think that their whole agenda, especially the first half of the season, is just try to finish all of these races with this Navy car.
I talked to Mark McFarland at Bristol, Larry Mack, and he said, boy, I can't wait until they take the let me have some of those reins, let me get going a little bit. But you're right, they've got to be conservative a little bit here early in the season.
You can't learn anything if you're in the garage area going up. Reed Sorensen going around the outside of Stephen Wallace in that 64 car. He's picking them up, laying them down right now. Of course, the further up he goes, the harder it's going to get. Goes by Mike Bliss in the 34 car. So in less than 10 laps, he's made up about 12 or 13 positions with this 41 car.
Sorensen was so dominant here a year ago, leading nearly 200 of the 225 laps. Working on the 99 of Michael Waltrip.
The 99 car, it is a Ford this week. This is actually Bruco Motorsports. Michael made a deal with Clarence Brewer early in the season, before the season started, to drive for them with that Yardman sponsorship. But because Michael is always linked with the 99 number in Busch, they put the 99 number on the car here, and David Ruderman is actually in the 66 car for Michael Waltrip Racing.
So Sorensen in the 41 gets by Michael Waltrip, now sets his sight on the 43 of Aaron Fike. Hearing the Kevin Harvick, as we see Sorensen get underneath Fike, the Kevin Harvick may have some damage to his race car, which happened on the restart when he got into Kyle Busch, perhaps.
When Kyle Busch spun the tires, he didn't get up to speed. They stacked up behind him, and right now, Kevin Harvick in the 21 is up in the 4th position, right in front of Kyle Busch in the 5. 7 races, though, 149-point lead. And that's driving a couple different cars. Driving the 21 car, driving his own car. In his worst 2006 finish, only one time out of the top 10, he finished 11th at Atlanta.
Kevin Harvick started on the pole for the very first NASCAR Busch Series race here April 14th, 2001.
Add the 29 car to it as well that he has driven.
There's your leader, Clint Boyer, in that 2 car, driving for Richard Childress Racing. 47 of 225 laps complete here in Music City, USA. Back at Nashville, Clint Boyer having his way with the field. He's led 36 of 52 laps on this 1.33-mile super speedway. Now, we talked about contact between Kevin Harvick and the 5 of Kyle Busch on the third restart. Let's take a look at what happened, Larry.
And you'll see right here, Kyle Busch in the 5 car didn't get going, spun the tires. Harvick had to jump to the outside, and you almost can see that car in the top side. John Wooden, the 47, almost anticipated it and went to the high side and went around him.
Let's take a look on board with Kevin Harvick.
See right there, the 5 did just get going, and you could see Kevin Harvick looks like he just clipped him with his left front fender. There goes John Wood in the Clorox 47 car onto the outside. And right now, John Wooden at 47 is holding in the 3rd position, still about 3 3/4 seconds behind leader Clint Boyer.
John Wood looking for his first career NASCAR Busch Series win. Tell you who's having a nice run early on here is Bernie Lamar in the 77, Larry.
Started back in the 21st position. He has moved up as high as 11th. Now, right now, he has settled in the 12th position. He's one of those 12 guys making their very first career start here at Nashville. You talked about it at the top of the show.
Paul Menard in the 11 and side by side with J.J. Yaley as they go down into turn 1.
But I've been watching an 18 car, and there goes Cousin Carl in the 60. Same deal. J.J. Yaley walks up the racetrack, and Edwards and Menard just split him over there in turn 1 and 2.
You see Carl Edwards put his hand out the window right there. Not sure what that gesture was about.
Well, he was probably wondering what in the world went on. And again, it's such a hit-your-mark, line-sensitive racetrack. It doesn't take much for the car to get away from you.
Edwards and Menard make contact side by side. Yaley 18 right behind Edwards.
I think the 2 spotters for these guys need to kind of settle them down just a little bit. Say, hey, guys, we got a long way to go. We obviously have got good race cars. There's no sense in beating and banging on each other on the straightaway. But I was just about to talk about J.J. Yaley. Started back in the 10th position. He had worked his way almost to the top 5, but lost a little ground. We just had talked about John Wood in the 47. Right now, a lot of pressure from our points leader, Kevin Harvick. Kevin just going to go around the outside of John Wood to take that 3rd position.
Matt has more on John Wood.
Well, Steve, one big reason why he's got so much motivation for a great run today, his legendary grandfather, Glenn Wood, was in the hospital this past week, spent a few days, had hip replacement surgery. He's doing well. He's a 4-time, then known as Grand National, now called Nextel Cup Series winner, cheering on his grandson, who's running very well here in the top 5 in Nashville.
While we're talking about his grandfather being in the hospital, I want to give a shout out to my son Brandon, who's in the hospital there in Charlotte. A little digestive system problem. And Brandon, I know you're watching, buddy, and I love you and look forward to seeing you tonight when I get home.
Very good. John Wood, as we said, trying to win his first Busch Series race. This is a track that has done so. 6 first-time winners here on the Nashville Superspeedway, including the last 3 events.
And I'm going to tell you what, John has been pretty solid this year. I know he's only 13th in the points, but the biggest thing, he has completed all but 2 laps of competition here in 2006.
John finished 4th in the season opening race at Daytona. Clint Boyer in that 2 car has led 43 of 59 laps here. We'll take a break. You're watching NASCAR on FX. Huge crowd enjoying the Pepsi 300 here at the Nashville Superspeedway on an Easter weekend. Hope you're having a good weekend where you're watching this race. Clint Boyer has a nice view. He is the leader in the 2 car. Just a couple of quick updates. Matt McCall in the 90 car is off the racetrack. He had electrical problems.
And we need to update Reed Sorensen in the 41 car, going by Bernie Lamar in the 77, about to get David Green in the 27. About 30 laps ago, he restarted this race back in 31st position. He is working quickly on getting back to the top 10. And this is what Reed needs. He needed this long green run. He needs to make up as many positions as he can under green without a caution burning him. So this long green run is good for Reed Sorensen right now. But now here's the problem with our leader, Clint Boyer, in the 2 car. Even though we have had 12 caution laps. And remember, when you're figuring fuel mileage, it's like 2 to 1 caution to green. We're closing in on lap 70. Remember, you can only go 70, 75 laps. Reed Sorensen needs this thing to go green. Clint Boyer in the 2 in the next 10 or 12 laps. He needs a caution or he's going to be off sync, have to make a green flag stop. Could be a dime blow for that 2 car.
We've had 3 cautions this afternoon. We have 35 cars on the lead lap.
Mike Bliss in the 34 car had a great run at Texas, was running up in the top. 15-18 just came by. Sounded like he was down a cylinder or 2.
On board with Kenny Wallace. Kenny in the 9th position. Ahead of him, Kyle Busch.
Talked about Kenny Wallace earlier. I'm sure he was looking forward to this race. Finished second in both of them in 2005, and looks like he could by far have his best performance of 2006.
Believe it or not, Kenny Wallace just 1 top 10 finish. And boy, look at the battle. Paul Menard and J.J. Yaley. Menard pulls alongside Aaron Crocker, the 98. Jeff Hammond reported that she not feeling well in that race car before the race started.
She is a lap down right now, but this is quite a battle between Menard in the 11 and Yaley in the 18 for the 6th position. They've been going at it pretty hard here lately. Mentioned Mike Bliss in the 34. He just brought his car to pit road.
Jeff Hammond has news on Clint Boyer. What's going on, Jeff?
Steve, right now they're looking to come in here in the next 2 laps. They'll be coming down pit road. The car has gotten tight. Again, Larry McReynolds was talking about the fuel situation, and they're not going to gamble anything. They're going to be hitting pit road here about lap 70, 71, making some adjustments to that number 2 car and hoping that they don't get burned by a caution flag. He's got a pretty good little lead right now, but again, when he hits pit road, he's going to lose a lot of valuable time. They're going to try to free the car up a little bit, and like so many cars on the racetrack right now, his car's gone off to the tight side, right in the center of the turn. They're going to come this time by.
And of course, the thing they also can't afford to do is have any mistakes on this pit stop. Clint's got to be careful, not speed coming on the pit road. They need a good, solid pit stop, make sure they go out okay. And, you know, as Jeff Hammond just pointed out, hope this thing cycles through, which is going to take several laps to do.
You bring up a good point. One of the distinctions, I think, between the Busch Series and the Nextel Cup Series as Boyer hits the apron is you don't have that many pit stops. You cannot make mistakes in a Busch Series race. You don't have that many opportunities to adjust or recover.
Exactly, because, I mean, this is only a 300-mile race, 225 laps. I was talking to Mike Helton last week. Let's go to Jeff Hammond, though, first on this pit stop.
Larry, as we said a minute ago, they brought it down. He looked really good. He hit his mark as far as getting in the pit box. The crew looked like a pretty smooth as far as coming around. And again, they've already made the adjustment to the track bar to try to free the car up. There's a lot of fuel being spilled out there by the gas man now. They got him down, trying to get him full. They had a lot of trouble having to hold him. This is not what they want to have happen. They couldn't get fuel in the car. And guys, this is the kind of mistake you're talking about. They can't get it full, having a lot of trouble. He's down the way, but 26 seconds in the pits, and I'm telling you right now, crew chief Gil Martin and everybody up there on top of the box were livid. Some kind of mistake was made there, and I don't know what it was. We're going to try to follow up, but a lot of fuel spilt and not get the thing full of gas on top of that, so a lot of trouble.
26 seconds, that's almost just the pit stop itself, a full lap around this place. They're going around here in about 30 seconds, and you figure the distance of pit road, the access road as well, a lot of time lost on that pit stop.
Tough break for Clint Boyer in that 2 car. The new leader is your pole sitter, Denny Hamlin, trying to win for the 2nd time in 2006 and his career. We'll be back to Nashville. You're watching NASCAR on FX. NASCAR Busch Series Racing on FX, presented by Subway, is sponsored by Smooth Busch Beer and easy drinking Busch Light. Busch, proud sponsor of the NASCAR Busch Series, 25 years running, battle for the lead. Kevin Harvick to the bottom of Denny Hamlin.
He had been reeling Denny Hamlin in at a very quick pace. And he pulled to the inside of Denny Hamlin in the 21. But now Denny, in the outside, the 20, kept getting a good run on the high side. But Harvick, see, there goes Hamlin in the outside again. So Harvick just, it's pinched down right now. He just can't get the run off the corner.
In other words, Hamlin has the momentum. Harvick wants it.
He's keeping those RPM wound up on that thing, and he's going to go back in front of Kevin Harvick in the 21. Now, here's the scenario. All of these guys, for the most part, were on pit road at lap 27. They should have to come to pit road somewhere between lap 95 and 100, which is roughly about 20 laps away. So right now, Clint Boyer, who is almost 2 laps down, he needs this thing to cycle all the way through this green flag next set of stops. But here's the problem that he had on pit road. Everything good coming in and leaving, good 4-tire stop. But if you see back here, all of the fuel going on the ground back there, they just cannot get the fuel in the car. He tried, and that's one of the things you assume will not be a problem, especially on a 4-tire stop, getting those 22 gallons of fuel in that car.
Reed Sorensen in the 41 and Boyer in the 2 did not pit on a caution on lap 25 when everybody else did. Sorensen came in on lap 33. Boyer stayed out. You saw he had to make the green flag pit stop. Trouble fueling that race car.
These boys here, they just will not give up, though. Kevin Harvick in the 21, Denny Hamlin in the 20. Now, they've got almost a 3-second lead over third place John Wood right now, so this is really not letting anyone pull up to their rear bumper. They're just having a big old time right now. That car right behind him, Ron Hornaday Jr., a backup car, the 33 car, right now, he's a lap down.
Of 225 laps complete. Kevin Harvick is your leader, followed by Denny Hamlin in the 20, John Wood in the 47, J.J. Yaley in the 18, Carl Edwards in the 60. That's your top 5. Jeff Hammond has more from pit road.
Steve, what we've been able to find out so far is that probably a faulty dry brake that goes on the end of the cans is a culprit on that last pit stop. They had problems with it sealing off, and the gas man kept working to try to get it to seal off. It would not. Had a lot of gas go not only on the ground, but all over the gas man himself. So they kept working and working. They finally got it to take the fuel, but that was the culprit right there during that pit stop, Larry Mack. And you know yourself, if it doesn't seal off properly, you're going to make a mess and possibly cause a fire in the pit area, which is exactly what you don't want to have happen.
Yeah, and I guess my other question, Jeff, would be, did they absolutely get this car full? That's going to be the other question, I think.
Down on pit road, they're working on the fuel filler can.
It's like Jeff described, it's like a quick disconnect. That probe opens up the part on the car and lets the fuel flow in. And obviously it was not operating properly. Right now, Clint's in the 32nd position, almost 2 laps down, about 1 3/4 laps down. Got fresh tires. He's running much quicker than the leaders. He just needs it to cycle for about another 15 laps. So these guys here, Kevin Harvick in the 21, Denny Hamlin in the 20, everyone else makes their green flag stop, and then everything will be good for Clint Boyer.
Clint Boyer has led twice for 54 laps, but right now at the point, it's Kevin Harvick. You're watching Busch Series Racing on FX. Kevin Harvick at the point here at the Nashville Superspeedway. It's time for our Subway trivia question. Who is the only NASCAR Busch Series points leader to enter Nashville and win the race? Larry Mack says he knows.
Well, we've had 9 races, right, and we've had 8 winners. You mentioned Scott Riggs, the only guy to win 2, and we've got a caution out. I think the answer is possibly maybe Greg Biffle.
Jack Sprague. Now, what did I say in the break?
Yeah, but you looked it up in the book. You like it, you cheat.
I did not look it up in the book.
Now, that is not the caution that Clint Boyer was looking for. We were about 10 laps away from green flag stops by everyone else. So now what he's got to hope for is to be able to get another caution, possibly be the first car lap down and get that free pass.
4th caution of the day on lap 90 for David O'Dell's spin in that 07 car, and I did not look it up.
That's your story.
Of course, I didn't say it out loud either, did I? So I don't get credit.
I'm the one that stuck my neck out and gave an answer on air. Best I could tell, I had a 1 out of 8 chance.
Yeah. Well, I don't get any credit because I thought I knew the answer, but I didn't stick my neck out. O'Dell back underway after spinning. Bring out the caution for the 4th time this afternoon.
It's a big break for cars like Stacy Compton, John Andretti, David Rudeman, Regan Smith. They were right on the verge of going a lap down to our leader, Kevin Harvick, in the 21.
Larry, just a quick update. The cars off the racetrack. Kevin LePage in the 56, Chris Wimmer in the 23, Shane Hall in the 28, Matt McCall in the 90, and Curtis Davis in the 0, all listed as off, not officially out.
We know pit road for everyone on the lead lap should be a very, very busy place. Right now, Jeff Hamlin, we got 26 cars on the lead lap.
Sure do, Larry. And right now, the 21 car Kevin Harvick's coming down pit road. They're going to make a little adjustment to the chassis, but they're also going to try to beat that left front fender up just a little bit. It's caved in pretty good over top of that left front tire. But again, he said the car's not too bad. Don't wait. Don't wait. You see everybody trying to help get that left front tire worked on, but they're not going to wait on it. I can guarantee you that. Matt?
By virtue of winning the pole, Denny Hamlin chose the first pit stop. Now he says the car is both loose and tight. It's loose at the beginning of the run, and then on the back end of the run, it goes extremely tight. He wants them to work on the tight, so they're going to shuffle the air pressure settings in the front. And there's a loose tire on pit road. 17.7 seconds for the 20 team.
I'll tell you who else had a great pit stop was Carl Edwards in that 60 car, his group. But I definitely think having that in pit that Matt Yoakum talked about by virtue of where he qualified helped him win the battle off pit road. And someone had a tire rolled across pit road.
So Denny Hamlin appears to win the battle 64. Off pit road. Matt says it's the 64 of Stephen Wallace.
So the penalty should be tail end of the longest line. He's still on the lead lap, Stephen Wallace.
Larry, here's why we're under caution for the 4th time today. It was a spin, single car spin. David O'Dell in the 07.
He almost looked like he was trying to get the pit road and just was way too fast. The law of physics took over. You'll have that happen.
You'll have that in big-time auto racing. 92 laps complete of 225. Be right back to Nashville. After pit stops and our 4th caution, let's reset your running order. Denny Hamlin is your leader, followed by Carl Edwards, J.J. Yaley, Paul Menard, Kenny Wallace, Reed Sorensen, Kevin Harvick, John Wood, Bernie Lamar, and Kyle Busch. That your top 10 as we prepare to go back to racing here at the Nashville Superspeedway.
The real loser on that pit stop, Kevin Harvick in the 21 car, came in leading, goes out 7th. Right behind Reed Sorensen in that 41 car, who's made his way back up to 6th. Everyone, I think, on the racetrack pitted that time.
Hamlin able to get a little clean air in his Joe Gibbs Racing Chevrolet. Edwards in the black and white car, the number 60 car, rides 2nd. Matt Yoakum has more on Reed Sorensen.
Well, Steve, he has quietly moved his way back into contention, currently in the 6th position. Now, they won this event 1 year ago. It was Reed's first NASCAR Busch Series win. So what they did, they are superstitious. They tried to duplicate what they did last year on their way to Nashville. They stopped off and had a dinner with one of their sponsors. Met with the employees the next day.
Trouble, Matt. Big wreck on the backstretch. Coming off of turn 2, multi-car accident on lap 97.
Now, what's going to be interesting about that caution, there you see Erin Crocker, the 98 car, she was involved in that wreck, is just as Matt was doing that interview right there, there's Mark McFarland, they're doing that piece. You saw a battle between Clint Boyer and the 2 car, Jason Keller in the 1. It depends on who was in front of who at the point of caution. The reason that battle is important, whoever was in front gets the free pass back on the lead lap. And we're being told that Clint Boyer in the 2 was just in front of Jason Keller, so he will be back on the lead lap in that 2 car and got a good car, and we're not even halfway yet.
So caution out for the 5th time. Let's take another look at what happened. Turn 2 has been the hot spot. Oh, Erin Crocker backs into the wall, and they start stacking up behind her.
Yeah, I'm just not sure that we might can see a different replay if she got help or not, or if the car just got loose with her. Whoa. Mark McFarland, you could see Todd Cleaver in the 06 check up for the caution. Mark McFarland did not in the 88 car and just ran all over the top of him.
On board with Mark McFarland.
Some cars were checking up, some were not. And we're seeing Clint Boyer in the 2 car. There you see all the damage to Todd Cleaver in 06.
So Clint Boyer gets the free pass. He also visits pit road.
And what they did, it looks like they just topped him off with fuel there. Probably not a bad move considering the problem they had earlier. Nothing lost by doing it because free pass starts at the tail end of the longest line. Now we know he's full of fuel.
So caution for the 5th time. Denny Hamlin is still the leader. His teammate J.J. Yaley is second. We'll be back to the Nashville Superspeedway after this. Under caution for the 5th time today. A wreck involving Aaron Crocker off turn 2 has collected several cars, including Mark McFarland, Jorge Getters, Mike Bliss, David Odell, Jay Sauter, David Rudiman, and Todd Cleaver.
I think we can answer some questions right here on both situations. Now, if you look way up there, you'll see Aaron Crocker in the 98 just get loose. She did not get any help, hard in the outside wall. Now, here's what happened with the car right in front of Mike McFarland, the 3M car. Todd Cleaver turns down because he sees Aaron Crocker and Mark McFarland in the Navy car there, and Mark almost becomes a sandwich between John Andretti and Todd Cleaver. But I think that replay there shows that Aaron Crocker, the car just came around, low air pressure, fresh tires, just came around with her, hard in the outside wall. And then there you see McFarland on top of Todd Cleaver as we're going to go back racing here at lap 101.
Denny Hamlin leads him to the green flag, followed by J.J. Yaley, Carl Edwards, Paul Menard, Kenny Wallace, Reed Sorensen, Kevin Harvick, John Wood, Kyle Busch, and Bernie Lamar, your top 10. Jason Leffler just behind in 11th.
Now, right now, Jason Keller there in the 1 car, he's fighting to be the first car a lap down where he could get the free pass like Clint Boyer did the last time. Clint Boyer right now is in 22nd position back on the lead lap.
23 cars on the lead lap. Clean restart so far. Keller in the 1 car. Yaley there, the yellow car, the 18, not a battle for position, as Keller said, or Blair said, Keller trying to get back on the lead lap. On board with Kenny Wallace in the 22 car.
In the 5th position right now. And right in front of Kenny Wallace, just went by him, Reed Sorensen in the 41 car.
Paul Menard splits Jason Keller. Carl Edwards to the high side. That's a battle for 3rd.
And remember, these 2 guys were going at it earlier. Carl Edwards in the 60, Paul Menard in the 11.
Paul Menard with 3 top 10s in that number 11 car, also trying to win his first NASCAR Busch Series race.
Paul sitting 8th in the Busch Series points right now.
Carl Edwards with 3 top 5s in this Busch Series season. Edwards 11th in Busch Series points. Menard 8th. Kevin Harvick is the points leader after 7 events. Caution out again for debris this time. Lap 105 brings out caution number 6.
That'll be the break Jason Keller, the 1 car there, was looking for, because now he will get the free pass. There you see the piece of debris.
Back to Matt Yoakum to finish that story on Reed Sorensen trying to defend his title here at this race.
Well, some teams are superstitious and others aren't. Reed Sorensen and his 41 team, they are superstitious. In fact, they went back to last year and looked exactly what they did each day on their Nashville race weekend. Came here with the same exact paint scheme as last year. They visited with a bunch of employees from one of their associate sponsors on Thursday. He was fastest in the first and second practice sessions, just like last year. His team had dinner with their coach associate sponsor, and then his mom, Becky. She made spaghetti for the entire team today, just like last year. So they're really bouncing back from that early miscue when they had that car on pit road. They chose not to pit. So they are working their way back up. Back on lap 75, they were the fastest car on the racetrack, currently 5th.
All right, thanks, Matt. Denny Hamlin is the leader. J.J. Yaley is second. Paul Menard, Carl Edwards, and as Matt said, Reed Sorensen in your top 5. Under caution for the 6th time today. Let's get a quick recap of what's happened. Our pole sitter, Denny Hamlin, goes up the hill, opening laps of the race. Behind him, trouble for Kyle Busch. He spins. Doesn't hit anything or anybody. He has rebounded nicely, Larry Mack.
Now, Clint Boyer stayed out, had to make a green flag stop, led most of the first part of this race. He had to make this green flag stop on lap 71. 26-second stop because he couldn't get fuel in it. Then we had the big wreck coming off turn 2. Aaron Crocker, Mark McFarland, Todd Cleaver. This was the caution no Clint Boyer need. Got the free pass back on the lead lap.
Jeff Hammond.
Well, Steve, you know, you hate to kind of overlook a guy that's been doing pretty good here today, and that's the enigma, Kenny Wallace. I mean, he's there in 7th position around, started 8th, but this is a racetrack where Kenny's always had strong runs. And right now his car's been just a little bit tight. They feel like if they can keep adjusting on the car and keep up with it over the final couple stops, he can put some pressure on these lead cars. At least that's according to the shy one.
The shy one, Kenny Wallace. It's been 112 races between visits to victory lane for Kenny Wallace. His last win coming at Rockingham, November 3rd, 2001.
But pretty solid last year. We talked about it, finished second here both races, and right up there in the thick of the points battle most of the 2005 season.
I'm pretty impressed. Hammond used the word enigma. It's impressive.
I ain't even gonna go. I'm not gonna put my dog in that fight. Stick to what you know.
Denny Hamlin leads him down into turn 1. Restart coming on lap 109. Nearing halfway, this 225 lapper. Hamlin, Yaley, Menard, Carl Edwards, Reed Sorensen, Kevin Harvick, Kenny Wallace, Kyle Busch, as we said, has rebounded from that early spin. John Wood and young Bernie Lamar in 10th.
Pretty impressed with Reed Sorensen in that 41 car. You talked about him, Steve, in the 5th position. He restarted this race back in 31st position after he came to pit road when all the other leaders pitted. He stayed out a couple of laps later. He made a pit stop, but right now he's got his hands full with Kevin Harvick in the 21, but they get boxed behind the lap car, the 36 car of Tim Sauter.
See Menard going by the 33 of Ron Hornaday. Sorensen behind him. Two wide and side by side. Kaufman in the 12, Kyle Busch in the 5, John Wood in the 47. Wood's been in the top 10 all day.
And those guys told me, he qualified 11th. They told me this morning, though, they were real happy talking about John Wood in the 47, how practice went yesterday as we're approaching halfway of this 300-mile race.
The Coast Guard car, that's driven by Kevin Harvick. Harvick listed in the 5th position. Great battle with Kenny Wallace in the 22. Bernie Lamar in the thick of that battle as well.
Good run for Bernie Lamar, leading the Revestas Rookie of the Year points battle right now in that 77 car. See Johnny Sauter right there in the 00 car. Jeff Hammond talked to him in the pre-race show. The top non-Nextel Cup driver in points right now, Johnny Sauter in the 00.
And right behind Lamar was Jason Leffler. Haven't called his name much today, but there he is next to Sauter. Jeff Hammond.
Well, you keep mentioning Johnny Sauter. One story we didn't get a chance to talk about early on is Johnny was told, hey, you need to get in better shape. So he went and bought himself a bike, a lot like Carl Edwards, and was going to kind of, ride around it and pedal his way into shape. But unfortunately, the chain broke on this bicycle, and his crew was saying if he spent a little bit of money instead of buying a cheap one, it wouldn't have happened. But when the chain broke, guys, he crashed pretty hard. His arm is all skin up. His right arm is all skin up right in the forearm area, as well as his side. He said he was pretty sore. He even showed me the belt he was wearing that day when he fell down. He went skidding across the concrete, and he said, man, he said, I knew as a kid these things hurt, but when you get older, they really hurt.
Well, I'm going to tell you what, Reed Sorensen in this 41 car, he is a coming right now. He just goes by Paul Menard in the 11. That was a battle for 3rd position, no longer a battle.
So how's Johnny Sauter going to get in shape now? He busted his bike.
I guess he'll have to go work out with Hammond.
Oh.
I go by the gym every morning.
I'll drive right by it.
Blow the horn and just don't stop.
Reed Sorensen went by Paul Menard in the 11. As Larry said, a battle for 3rd. J.J. Yaley is 2nd. Denny Hamlin still the leader, so 2 Joe Gibbs cars at the front of this pack.
We talked about Reed Sorensen in that 41 car overcoming, making that pit stop, going back to 32nd position. I want to tell you what, the other comeback has been Clint Boyer in that 2 car right there. Remember, we saw in the highlights, saw that bad pit stop under green, 26 seconds, and now he is just about to break back in the top 10. Right now, he's in the 11th position. Plenty of time for this 2 car.
How difficult is that, Larry, for a crew chief to keep his young driver under wraps? Hey, man, we had some misfortune, but you've got a great race car. You can get it back.
Well, there's several people he had to pump. He had to pump this driver back up, but he had to also go pat that gas man on the back and say, look, just get it fixed. Make sure it's right the next time we make a stop. Got teammates right there. Denny Hamlin in the 20. J.J. Yaley in the 18. Running first and second right now. You see Yaley starting to work the second group. That's where Hamlin was actually working a little bit earlier. This is going to be quite a battle for the lead here, looks like.
Yaley drops one a little bit low. Looked underneath them for a second, took a peek, decided to close it back in. As we said, Hamlin got his first Busch Series win earlier this season on the road course at Mexico City. Yaley still trying to get to victory lane for the first time.
Yaley has 4 starts here, 2 top 10 finishes. He's sitting 4th in the points, trying to overcome that 42nd place finish at Texas. He just keeps working the high side on his teammate Denny Hamlin in the 20. Got caught up in a wreck at Texas last week.
Hamlin second in the points behind Kevin Harvick. The last time teammates finished 1-2 this season, Tony Stewart in the 33 car and Bernie Lamar the 77, both owned by Kevin Harvick Inc.
And you know, J.J. Yaley, the 18 car in the Busch Series, started showing some spark last year, but it's almost like this year when Joe Gibbs showed the confidence to put him in that 18 Nextel Cup car to replace Bobby Labonte. Immediately the confidence level went up in this young man, and it's showing in both series. There you see Clint Boyer in the 2 car. He just goes by Kenny Wallace. That puts him back in the top 10 right now.
Clint Boyer has been as low as 31st after that mishap on pit road. There he's battling Bernie Lamar for the 9th position. Denny Hamlin still leads. So Hamlin is the leader. He's followed by his teammate, J.J. Yaley. And of course, one of the most popular shows on television right now, American Idol. Guess who's a big fan? J.J. Yaley. Here's why.
You know, I'm a closet American Idol guy. I watch it some.
Which is your favorite guy on American Idol?
I like the oh, I thought you were going to talk about that. I would like the bald guy that rocks out. I like Simon because he just tells you how it is. You know, he doesn't sugarcoat it. If you're good, you're good. If you stink, you know, you need to go do something else.
Caution for the 7th time today. 2 Sauter brothers involved in this. Johnny Sauter, the 00. Larry Mack, Johnny in the 00 gets into the 36 of Tim, his brother.
But it looked like Johnny Sauter in the 00 just got a little bit loose, walked up into his brother's left rear quarter panel. David Green, the tail of 2006, nowhere to go. David Rudeman looks like he already had some damage and just couldn't get stopped. Goes all in the back of Johnny Sauter in the 00.
And we'll see action on pit road.
Not as much action as I thought. A lot of our leaders stayed out, so we've got about half of our lead lap cars coming to pit road.
Paul Menard, Reed Sorensen among those hitting pit road. Stephen Wallace in the 64. There's Menard in the 11. Looks like they're checking to see if there's any damage to the front of that race car.
Now, all of our leaders were on pit road at lap 92, which was a good 30-something laps ago, so they're about halfway through a fuel run. So we've got about half of our 21 lead lap cars that made pit stops there. So this will get interesting here now.
Another angle at what happened. The Sauter brothers and the 00 and the 36 get loose. David Green gets in trouble.
Be an interesting Easter dinner at the Sauter home.
Oh, you bring up a good point. We'll get things restarted here at Nashville. You're watching FX. And that was our own Darrell Waltrip. Again, you can see that on DirecTV, Songs of Praise, all weekend on channel 103. You can actually see that through Monday if you'd like. Under caution here at the Nashville Superspeedway. Let's check in with Jeff Hammond.
Well, one driver, guys, who kind of got a break right there when that caution came out was the 32 car, Jason Leffler. His battery had actually gone down, and the car was starting to misfire pretty bad. He was dropping back through the field real quickly, but they had an opportunity to come in. They were able to change left side tires, exchange that battery, and then turn right around, came back in this last time, and put right side tires on. So he's good to go right now, Matt.
And Jeff, down here in the 41 pit of Reed Sorensen, Brian Patty talking to his driver. You have had one whale of a day.
I wouldn't call it a whale of a day. It's been bad, it's been good, it's been bad, it's been good.
It's not like hitting 76 at Birkdale or anything.
No. It's like hitting 91 on Wednesday and going back and shooting part of the next. Got a really good race car. Guys have done an excellent job back at the shop preparing the car. Reed's done a fantastic job. We wanted to pit the first time, but there was a wrecked race car in our pit stall. He wouldn't leave, and I was like, this is crazy. But, you know, that right there was just an insurance call, putting gas in it, because at Green Flag, Tennessee, there's only 21 good cars out there now. So, we'll see what happens.
Now, the winds are picking up, but you assured your driver there are no concerns about weather.
Well, I got meteorologist Brad Parrott next to me, and he pulled it up on his little BlackBerry, and, you know, there's some stuff to the north, but, you know, hell, we're in Tennessee. Anything can happen.
And just to let you know, Larry Mack, there's no wintry mix scheduled for later this afternoon.
Matt, first Carl Edwards steals his thunder. Now it's Brad Parrott. Larry Mack's feelings are hurt. I can see it.
That's okay. When I'm standing in the eye of a hurricane with Jim Cantori standing beside me, they're going to all be very, very jealous. But you can see right there the winds are picking up. Now, here's the deal. Even those 10 cars that pitted in, or 12 cars that made pit stops, they still have to make another stop as we're still 96 laps away from the end of this thing.
22 cars on the lead lap. Ron Hornaday Jr. got the free pass. He was the first car a lap down.
So we had 12 cars that pitted, 10 cars that actually stayed out.
Denny Hamlin leads him down to the green flag in turn 1, followed by J.J. Yaley, Kevin Harvick, Kyle Busch, Carl Edwards, John Wood, Clint Boyer, Kenny Wallace, Aaron Feike into the top 10, and Jason Keller. Matt talked to Brian Patty a moment ago. Reed Sorensen listed in the 11th position. See the interval there between the teammates, then a little further back. Side-by-side racing into 3. There's Sorensen in the 41, 11th.
See Jason Keller there in the 1 car. Remember, it was not that many laps ago that he got the free pass. Now, he actually pitted back on lap 106, so he's in a little better shape. So some of those cars that's out in front of him, Jason Keller in the 1.
Look at that side-by-side racing down the backstretch. On board with Kenny Wallace down into 3. Clint Boyer in the 2 car. I want to pass along, Tim Sauter, the driver of the 36 car, has been checked out of the infield care center and released. Paul Menard in that Dayglow 11 car next to Bernie Lamar.
See Stephen Wallace there in the 64 car behind Reed Sorensen in the 41, still on the lead lap up there in the 14th position. Good run for him after the rough debut in 2006 he had at Bristol 2 or 3 weeks ago. Finished 10th in the ARCA race earlier today.
Larry, you talked about at the beginning of the show how that second groove would eventually come in, and we are seeing a lot of side-by-side racing.
Yeah, actually at the beginning of the race, I thought maybe the second groove was a little better than the bottom part of the racetrack. See Ashton Lewis Jr., the 25 car, still on the lead lap, having a good run here today. Sitting there in the 13th position.
Getting a report that Jason Leffler, who Jeff Hammond just talked about, has lost an engine. Menard goes by, Danny O'Quinn. Keller, that black number 1 car, also getting underneath O'Quinn.
I'll tell you what, Denny Hamlin in the 20 leading the race, he's pulled out just a little bit, but right now his teammate J.J. Yaley in the 18, he had his hands full of Kevin Harvick in the 21. Looks like J.J. just let Kevin Harvick go. Right now, looks like that 21 car is really coming into this racetrack, Jeff Hammond.
Larry, they're really happy happy right now as far as their car is concerned. And the main thing is, you keep talking about that window. You know, the last stop that they'd like to make. A minute ago, Shane Wilson let Kevin Harvick know that really their window right now, they're looking like stopping around 170, 171, which will put them, you know, about 50, 55 laps from the end of this race. So if they can just keep pace, keep their nose clean, that's when you'll be looking for a lot of these lead cars when you hit pit road, right around that 170 lap mark.
Which would be in about 35 laps, Jeff.
And we know if they can get to pit road by lap 155 to 160, which is about 20 to 25 laps from now, that should let them go to the end of this race without having to make another pit stop. And next week, guess where we go? The old Valley of the Sun. Phoenix. Little night racing. Love it. Friday night with the Busch cars, Saturday night with the Nextel Cup cars under the lights.
Reed Sorensen in the 41, battling Aaron Fike in the 43.
I'll tell you what, Aaron Fike in the 43 car qualified in the 24th position through some strategy, has worked his way into the top 10. Now, he is one of those cars that stayed out on that last caution, but this is a good run for the man that sat on the outside of the front row for the race back at Daytona in February.
Fike 31st in points, looking for his first top 10 finish. Jeff Hammond.
Add a little bit more on Aaron Fike. His car owner actually is here, Mike Kerr. And if anybody keeps an eye on Curb Records, they may recognize the fact that Tim McGraw is under that label. So, you know, he's really proud to be here at Nashville. Basically, their home base of operations, and they're having a pretty good, solid run here today.
Music City, USA, home of the Grand Ole Opry.
You know, we talked about Ashton Lewis Jr. in the 25 car right behind him. I'm going to tell you what, though, Ashton's teammate, Regan Smith in the 35 car, remember at the very beginning of the race, had to pit under green, pull tape off that car, went a lap down, got the free pass. He has worked his way back in the top 15, back in 15th position, running there with Stephen Wallace in the 64. Regan Smith has had a good race car this year. A lot like David Green, he has had no luck.
Smith, 22 years old, from upstate New York. Back at the front, Denny Hamlin. Hamlin has been at the point twice for 57 laps. We're past halfway, closing in on pit stops. You're watching FX. Chevrolets, 5 of them leading the way here at Nashville. Denny Hamlin, Kevin Harvick, J.J. Yaley, Kyle Busch, and Clint Boyer, your top 5. Followed by a couple of Fords, Carl Edwards and John Wood. Kenny Wallace also in a Ford, followed by Reed Sorensen in a Dodge, and Paul Menard in a Chevy. 82 laps remaining of 225, Pepsi 300 here at the Nashville Superspeedway.
I think these two guys here, Denny Hamlin in the 20, Kevin Harvick in the 21, they're pretty much showing again here today at Nashville why they are 1-2 in the points right now. Kevin Harvick leading Denny Hamlin by 149 points coming into this race today, race number 8.
That's the interval between first and second.
Okay, speaking of Kevin Harvick, a car that he owns, well, let me back up. A car that Delana Harvick owns, Kevin's wife, Ron Hornaday Jr. in the 33 car, a backup car. He crashed qualifying, had to start at the rear of the field with no practice, went a lap down, got the free pass, and he's trying to crack the top 20, sitting there in the 21st position. Not bad for a backup car, Jeff Hammond.
No, it's really not. This whole team has been fighting all day long, and Wally Rogers will tell you right quick that, you know, it hasn't been pretty since they've gotten here to Nashville. Again, Ron felt really bad about crashing the primary car, but they've been on both sides of it, Larry. The car's been too tight, then they freed it up, now it's too loose. They've been back and forth. They can't quite hit the right setup for this veteran driver, but the thing about it, they haven't given up yet, and Delana continually paces back and forth between Bernie Lamar's car, the 33 car, and all the way down to Kevin Harvick, her husband's car, to see what's going on. She's been a busy woman all day long.
And remember, this car is running all the races with Kevin Harvick, Tony Stewart, Ron Hornaday. They're third in the owner points. Right now, though, Clint Boyer, our man is third in the Busch Series points, is reeling in Kyle Busch in the 5. This would be a battle for 4th position.
And after Clint Boyer had his troubles off pit road when they had problems getting gas in, he had dropped all the way to 31st. A great recovery by Clint Boyer in the 2 as he sets his sights on and tries to get under Kyle Busch in the 5.
Kyle in the 5 car working that high side. Looks like Clint Boyer possibly will prevail down the backstretch headed off into turn 3. And he will take the spot away. For the viewers that have just joined us, Clint Boyer dominated the first part of the race. He elected to stay out but it forced him to make a green flag pit stop under lap 71. As you said, Steve, 26-second stop, couldn't get fuel in the car, went a lap down, got the lap back by the free pass, and here he is back in the top 5 with the 2 car.
Clint Boyer led twice for 54 laps. Just want to mention Todd Cleaver in the 06, who was involved in that wreck on lap 98, back on the track, 48 laps down. We'll take a break and come back and catch up with pit stops here at the Nashville Superspeedway. Denny Hamlin still your leader. 153 laps complete here at Nashville. We're closing in on pit stops. Good battle between John Wood and the 47, side by side with Kyle Busch in the 5.
This is a battle for the 5th position, but you talked about it just a second ago. We're about 10 or 12 laps from Denny Hamlin, Kevin Harvick, J.J. Yaley, Clint Boyer, Kyle Busch, John Wood, Carl Edwards. The top 7 all having to make green flag pit stops.
Reed Sorensen just got by Carl Edwards in the 60, that for the 7th position.
But now Reed Sorensen in the 41 car, right now he's the top running car that pitted back on lap 125, so he can go probably for another 40 or 45 laps of this 41 car. So this car's pretty good shape considering where they were early in the race when they pitted and restarted the race in 32nd position. Twenty
drivers on the lead lap. Denny Hamlin, your leader. Hamlin has led twice for 74 laps. Kevin Harvick in the 21 car. Larry said the points leader is 2nd, followed by J.J. Yaley in the number 18. He's 3rd. Clint Boyer up to 4th in the number 2 car. John Wood is 5th.
And the top 4, that's our top 4 guys in points as well. Just like Kevin Harvick, Denny Hamlin we were talking about earlier. Clint Boyer is 3rd. J.J. Yaley in the 18 is 4th in the points.
There you just saw the interval between Yaley in the 18, Boyer in the 2. 33 of Ron Hornaday. That's not a battle for position. Hornaday listed 21st.
Right now, it looks like of our top 10, about 8 of those cars will be cars that will have to make a green flag stop should we not get a caution in about the next 7, 8, 9 laps.
I believe Jeff Hammond said about lap 170.
And of course, we talk about how tricky this pit road is. You enter in turn 4, 45 miles per hour. You have to make an exit on an access road to inside of turn 1 and 2. So this could be the final pit stop coming up. Don't need a pit stop like Clint Boyer had earlier where it takes 26 seconds to take you right out of this race.
No mistakes on pit road. We'll come back and cover those for you here at the Nashville Superspeedway as Denny Hamlin continues to lead Kevin Harvick, J.J. Yaley, Clint Boyer, and John Wood. Under caution for the 8th time here at the Nashville Superspeedway from debris on lap 161. 8th caution of the day.
And that was a very timely caution for about those 9 or 10 cars that stayed out under the last caution, including Denny Hamlin and the 20, our leader, because all of these cars, the top 8 of the top 10 were about within a few laps of having to make a green flag stop. The thing about it now, I think we'll see all 19 or 20 of our lead lap cars to pit road, because with 62 laps to go, you can make it from here without having to stop again. So this is a pretty critical stop. No mistakes. Remember, Denny Hamlin comes in leading. He's got that in-pit box. Doesn't have to move that far to win the battle on pit road. Jeff Hammond.
That's right. Right now, that's what Shane Wilson is telling his 21 crew. No mistakes, guys. No mistakes. And don't worry about that front fender. It's okay on Kevin Harvick's car. They're going to put 4 tires on it. The car is still tight. They're going to make adjustment as far as track bar is concerned, as well as try to take a little air pressure down. Also, the 2 car is in. He's the same way. He's a little bit tight, so they're going to also make an air pressure adjustment on him. And, Matt, I think that leader's looking to make an adjustment, too.
He's looking for some small tweaks. He wants a quarter turn up on the track bar, a small quarter pound of air pressure added to the right rear tire. Says, I'm just too tight later in the run. I need to be freed up later in the run. The 18, J.J. Yaley, the car is just snug, too snug in the center of the corner.
But I'm going to tell you what, guys, the winner off the battle off pit road, Paul Menard in that 11 car, he beats Denny Hamlin and the rest of the field off of pit road, so he'll take the lead here with probably about 58 or 59 laps to go when we get to restart.
So Menard looking for his first career win, comes in 6th, goes out first. And in driver intros, top 10 all got guitars. Don't do it, Kevin. Oh, thought he was going to break it.
Look at these boys.
Getting down.
Look at Cousin Carl. Go, boy.
We'll be right back.
There's the shy one.
Back in Nashville, Paul Menard, the winner off battle on pit road. We're under caution for debris. And earlier, 20 car hit it, Matt.
Concerned moment for that 20 team. He came on the radio, said, I hit a huge piece of debris. Described it perfectly. His spotter was looking with binoculars to see if there was any damage to the front, and then he was trying to tell NASCAR as it continued to work its way down the backstretch before they threw the caution, and the green's in the air for Paul Menard.
We're back racing with 59 to go, and we found out why the 11 won the battle off pit road. His crew chief, Dan Stillman, they pitted back on lap 125, got 4 tires as he's going to lose the lead before getting through 1 and 2. They elected with 30 laps on their tires, which I questioned, to go with fuel only. I believe I would at least take the right side tires. Looks like right now he's going to lose the 2nd position to Kevin Harvick.
And Larry, as you said, that could be the last pit stop of the day if we don't get another caution.
Well, the thing about it, the right side tires were almost free because you had to be there long enough to almost put a full can of fuel in. So I think they're going to eat his lunch here with 30 lap tires versus all these cars having 4 lap tires.
Jeff Hammond, tell us about some strategy with Kevin Harvick and Clint Boyer.
Well, on that restart, Steve, Harvick wanted to make sure that Clint Boyer knew that I'm going to tippy-toe through these first couple corners, guys, get a little air pressure up in my tires. So tell Clint to lay off me just a little bit, and we'll settle this after we get a couple laps run, get a little air pressure build up. So right now they've been going give and take. For Clint Boyer, J.J. Yaley didn't want to believe that. He just passed him for position, and they got a pretty good dogfight going back in between him and Kyle Busch.
I'm going to tell you what, Clint Boyer on the front stretch here, there you see Yaley got loose, getting in there, walked up the racetrack. He's going to possibly lose 3 positions to Sorensen, Busch, and Boyer down the backstretch.
So Yaley up high, he can't get down low, and he will lose positions as Boyer goes by the 2, but Yaley pulls back up on the high side.
And Boyer's going to lose 2 positions. Reed Sorensen in the 41. He pulls it inside. Here comes Kyle Busch into 5, as well as Carl Edwards in the 60.
Edwards and Busch to the low side, Sorensen on the high side, and Busch goes up the hill a little bit. He's right in front of Clint Boyer in the 2.
I tell you what, this is some of the best racing I've seen here at Nashville Superspeedway. We definitely have 2 groups of racing.
Edwards in the 60.
I think, though, most of the crew chiefs told these guys, you got what you got from here to the end. They've stepped it up a notch here all of a sudden.
Great speed shot showing you just how fast they're getting around this 1.33 mile super speedway. Hamlin still at the point. But here comes Kevin Harvick in the 21.
Denny Hamlin's car has been so good on the long runs. I think Kevin Harvick knows if he's going to get him, he better get in here now. But here's where Hamlin has been so strong on the high side. He gets a good run off the corner there, side by side off turn 4.
Keeps the RPMs up, but Harvick is alongside as they go to the start-finish line. Hamlin barely able to retain the lead, but Harvick still looking low.
There goes Hamlin to the high side again. Gets a good run off turn 2. But I'm going to tell you what, while these guys are going side by side, Paul Menard in that 11 car on 30 more lap tires.
Trouble on the backstretch. Kyle Busch in the 5 goes around. It's Kyle Busch around.
No caution yet. Now the caution will be out.
On lap 171, Kyle Busch goes around on the backstretch. Field slows down. Hamlin retains the lead. Here Kyle Busch back underway.
Remember, Kyle Busch was involved in our very first caution back on lap 2. Car looked a lot the same way with the roof flap deployed up there as he spun backwards.
Those roof flaps help keep those cars from getting up in the air. They release air from the inside of the cockpit. 9th caution today. You see the record 11. For 11 cautions in the first race here in 2001 and then again in 2003 in the June race. Take a look at what happened to Kyle Busch in the 5, Larry.
Just way up out of the groove. It looked a lot like Aaron Crocker in an earlier wreck a few cautions ago. Up out, when you're up above that black, trust me, that's almost like no man's land.
There, Busch has already made contact with the wall. slight contact. Doesn't look like there's a lot of damage to that 5 car.
Now, Paul Menard, Dan Still, and the crew chief, the 11 car, they've elected to come to pit road knowing that we've still got 50-something laps to go, and he already had 30-something laps on his tires.
So the last stop, Menard took fuel only. Now he'll come down and get some tires.
But see, it would have been a push for him to have made it to the end on fuel. Remember, he pitted back on lap 125. That's 100 laps to go. I feel like they would not have been able to make it on fuel, so he had to come to pit road.
Kevin Harvick was ahead of Denny Hamlin when the caution lights were displayed. We'll take a break and reset here at the Nashville Superspeedway. You're watching NASCAR on FX. Superspeedway under caution for the 9th time. Kevin Harvick is the leader. Take a look at your top 5. In fact, the top 6 are all full-time drivers in the Cup and Busch Series. John Wood, the highest Busch Series regular. He is 7th, followed by Bernie Lamar, Ashton Lewis Jr., and Kenny Wallace. Let's cut it loose, Larry Mack.
Let's do it. I'm fired up. 50 laps to go. We got 21 cars on the lead lap. Kyle Busch in the 5, the last car on the lead lap, had to make a stop there to get 4 fresh tires. Kevin Harvick in the 21 pulls away on this restart.
Strong restart by Harvick in the 21. Kevin Harvick started this race from the 7th position. He's been at the point twice for a total of 15 laps. There's Denny Hamlin with Joe Gibbs Racing, number 20, right behind him. Clint Boyer's rebound from trouble. He's in the 2 car, side by side with Carl Edwards in the 60 off of turn 4.
Yeah, when I look at our top 5 right now, probably 2 of the best cars at the beginning of the race. They have rebounded from off pit stop sequence. Reed Sorensen in the 41, Clint Boyer in the 2.
Still side-by-side battle. The drag race down the backstretch.
But I want to tell you what, while they keep racing side-by-side, you mentioned him a while ago, John Wood in that 47 car, he's pulled right up to the rear bumper of Carl Edwards in the 60, as well as Bernie Lamar, our rookie in that 77 car.
Lamar doing a great job, posted in the 8th position, followed by Ashton Lewis Jr. Kenny Wallace is 10th in the 22. His nephew, Stephen Wallace, 11th. Rusty's son. There's Stephen in the 64, and Kenny Wallace in the 22. Uncle and nephew, they split. Stedman Marlin in the 14.
It's a good run for Stephen. Good run for him in that 64 car.
Matt Yoakum has more on young Stephen Wallace.
Had a great run in the ARCA race earlier today. He lost 1st and 2nd gear, still finished 10th. His father, the 89 champion Rusty Wallace, up in the suite, talking to his son on the radio. He was telling him before the last caution, these guys are slowly starting to back up to you. Just run your race, but go get them.
And what that Jackson Roscoe Foundation on that car there, he ran it at Bristol, it's to raise awareness of congenital heart disease in infants and children.
Larry, one of my favorite moments was last year when we were doing trackside with Rusty Wallace, our speed show, and Stephen won the ARCA race at Michigan, and it was cool to see a veteran like Rusty Wallace actually tear up. It's just emotional for a father.
It really was. It was great to see him, just the look in his eyes watching his son out there winning his first ARCA race.
Jay Sauter in the 01. Kyle Busch wants to get underneath of him. Danny O'Quinn in the 50 have a great starting position. Started in the top 4. Jeff Hammond has more on that young driver for Roush Racing.
Yeah, for Danny O'Quinn, he did have a great starting spot, guys, but he's been struggling with the car being tight all day. They finally got the car pretty close, but on that next to last stop, they left the wheel loose. So when this caution came out a second ago, lap 172, it actually was a break for the young man. And again, he's been trying really hard to be able to better that 11th place finish from Bristol, and he thought he could do it today. Right now, he's at 18th. He's challenging, trying to work his way back up through the field over these final 50 laps.
Hey, Jeff, when you say young, you're not kidding. O'Quinn, 20 years old. from Coburg, Virginia.
Tell you what, we got a little battle shaping up for second right now. Reed Sorensen in that 41 car, right up to the rear bumper of Denny Hamlin in the 20, while Kevin Harvick has pulled away to over a second lead over these boys right here.
We said it earlier, Sorensen, the defending champion of this event. He got his first Busch Series win here a year ago.
He did pretty much everything you could do here in one race. He sat on the pole, as Matt Yoakum talked about earlier, was real fast in practice, led 197 of 225 laps. Looked like that's what he was going to do early in the race. He just pulls it to the bottom, right side by side with Denny Hamlin. This is the battle for second.
Drag race down the backstretch. Clint Boyer in that blue number 2, also back behind them. J.J. Yaley in the 18. He is 4th. There's Yaley on board with Boyer.
We mentioned Boyer earlier. 4 Busch Series starts here at Nashville. All top 5 finishes. The only position he has not finished in is second. Right now, he's in the 5th position.
And this, he told Matt Yoakum earlier today during qualifying, this is where he got his big break. Clint Boyer was in an ARCA race here. Richard Childress saw him on television. It was a rain delay during a Nextel Cup race. That's how he got discovered. And here comes Paul Menard.
He has those fresh tires. He is working on Michael Waltrip here in the 99 car. So Paul's still got plenty of time. 40 laps to go right now. That's a battle for 12.
Saw Stephen Wallace in the 64. Impressive job by him. He's 11th. And here comes Boyer underneath Yaley. Boyer cleanly makes the pass going into turn 3. Kevin Harvick continues to lead in that number 21 car. 39 laps remaining. He's followed by Reed Sorensen in the 41. John Andretti slowing on the backstretch in the 10 car.
John was several laps down. He was involved in that accident earlier, back in the 30th position.
Yep. Paul Menard battling Michael Waltrip in the 99. It's a battle for 12. Menard wants it. He has it. Now sets his sight on Stephen Wallace. Trouble in turn 3.
Kyle Busch again in the 5 car.
And Stedman Marlin, I believe, in the 14 up against the wall. Heavy damage to Kyle Busch. Caution out for the 10th time on lap 187.
See Stedman Marlin, the son of Sterling Marlin from nearby Columbia, Tennessee. The window net goes down, which is a good sign. Drivers are told in the drivers meeting, if you're okay, drop the window net down. That lets the safety workers know that we're okay.
Chad Chaffin in the 05 from Smyrna, Tennessee. Nearby, he gets the free pass.
You saw Kyle Busch in the 5 car taking the garage area. The winner at Bristol 2 or 3 weeks ago, finished 4th at Texas, was starting to rebound from some of the problems he had earlier in the season, 6 in the points, but he's going to take a hit today.
So Kyle Busch has taken his wounded race car to the garage. He's done for the day. Stedman Marlin, meanwhile, sitting in his race car. As Larry Mack said, he's dropped the window net. That's the sign that he's okay. Caution out for the 10th time. The record here is 11. It's happened twice.
And I think for the most part, even though we've got 37 laps to go, that we're going to see most everyone stay out. Most of our leaders were on pit road about 20 laps ago. So I think we'll see most of these guys stay out, especially since we've got 20 cars on the lead lap.
So Stedman out of the race car. One of his only starts of this 2006 season. See if there are any takers for pit road, Larry.
Oh, Kevin Harvick was going to kind of play with him just a little bit. Yeah, I don't know. That was, as Pam Miller, our producer's telling me, that was kind of bad acting there.
But we'll take this opportunity to take a break. Laps winding down. 36 laps to go here at the Nashville Superspeedway. Harvick leads. Let's catch up on what's happened in an eventful Pepsi 300. Early, pole sitter Denny Hamlin goes up the hill. Gets loose but didn't hit anything. Clint Boyer had a misadventure on pit road.
Yeah, this was a green flag stop at lap 71. You can see they couldn't get fuel in the car. He went a lap down, but he made that lap up. He's up in the top 4. Now, this was right after that. This is when he got back on the free pass. Aaron Crocker spins off turn 2. You see Mark McFarland and Todd Cleaver involved as well.
The Sauter brothers, Tim in the 36. Johnny in the 00. They run into each other. David Green caught up in that, as is David Rudiman, lap 173. Kevin Harvick, great battle with Denny Hamlin in the 20. Kyle Busch has had a rough afternoon here at Nashville.
That was his second spin. And happy Easter, Steve Burns.
Well,
and happy
thank you, Larry McReynolds.
Easter to our families back in Charlotte. We will be headed home this evening.
We're going to land with the Easter Bunny.
That's it.
Beautiful crowd on a spectacular day here in Nashville, Tennessee. A warm afternoon. Hope you're having a great Easter weekend. We'll come back and run to the conclusion here in Nashville. "33 laps left to decide. This track cleanup is concluding. Kevin Harvick is the leader, followed by Reed Sorensen, Denny Hamlin, Clint Boyer, J.J. Yaley, Carl Edwards, John Wood, Ashton Lewis Jr., Bernie Lamar, and Kenny Wallace, all inside the top 10.
Good run for Ashton Lewis Jr. sitting there in the top 10, that 25 car. He needs that kind of a run.
He's been so close to winning the Busch Series, but just hasn't been able to seal the deal. "225 laps the distance as you look at Ashton Lewis Jr.
He's one of only 2 drivers to start all 9 Busch Series races here. Jason Keller in the 1 car, the other one.
Graduate of Old Dominion University in Virginia.
Right behind him, we've been talking about him today, Bernie Lamar, the 77 car. See John Wood right in front of him in the 47 car. So really 7th through 10th right now is occupied Kenny Wallace in the 22 Busch Series regulars, non-Nextel Cup regulars.
Let's check in with Jeff Hammond.
Well, guys, I'm sitting on the box right now with Shane Wilson, crew chief for Kevin Harvick. And Shane, car's been running flawless all day, and right there at the end when that caution came out, you were in front when it counted.
Yeah, the car's real good. We've been working on it a little bit all day, freeing it up, and Kevin's doing a good job. Worked through a little adversity there, had a little fender damage and got that pulled out and lost a few spots, but he's worked himself back, so it's been a good day.
You've been telling me you need to keep those tires cleaned off in case that when you get ready to go back to green.
Oh yeah, well, good thing about Kevin, he definitely knows what he's doing out there, so we'll be fine.
Well, down here, everything's pretty calm and pretty normal as far as a crew chief. Looks like he's ready to go to victory lane, guys.
And remember, this is the team that won Atlanta with Jeff Burton last month driving the 21 car. This team been pretty solid. You know, Kevin Harvick is leading the driver points, but the 21 car is leading the owner points. And the 21 car 3 or 4 years ago actually won the owners championship, I think, with Ken Harvick and Johnny Sauter possibly sharing the duty of driving the car.
On board with Kevin Harvick as he cleans those tires up. His last Busch Series win came at Texas last November, and want to let Paula and Sterling Marlin know, if they're watching, that their son Stedman has been checked out and released from the infield care center, so he's okay. Feelings are hurt, but he's all right. That's what matters. So we're getting ready to settle this one. Harvick, Sorensen, Hamlin, Boyer, Yaley, Edwards, John Wood. There you see Bernie Lamar in the 77. He's 9th. Kenny Wallace is 10th.
Stephen Wallace in that 64 car back there in 11th. And right now, we really have no cars starting the inside of Kevin Harvick. So it's almost like a single file restart. 30 laps to go. John Wood, the 47 car, almost got a good restart on Carl Edwards in the 60. Pulled up to the outside of him. Thought better, pulled back to the inside. They're single file through 1 and 2.
Yeah, John Wood took a look to the outside, but they are single file. Harvick leads him down into turn 3, followed by Sorensen, Hamlin, Boyer, and Yaley. Boyer gets a great run.
Yeah, Hamlin in the 20 car, remember, he's been working that high side. It's almost like his car walked up the racetrack. They're side by side for 3rd position. 29 laps to go.
Great move by Boyer going into turn 3 and 4. Hamlin able to hold him off on the high side. You see Yaley in that yellow number 18.
I was going to say, while these boys want to race side by side, there comes Yaley in the 18, as well as Carl Edwards in the 60, and John Wood in the 47.
Boyer still tries the bottom. Hamlin tries to pinch him down, followed by Yaley and Carl Edwards in the 60.
Looks like Boyer, he'll complete the pass this time. Denny Hamlin actually got a little bit loose up off turn 4 of the 20.
On board with Boyer, looking out the back at Denny Hamlin in the 20. Boyer, Hamlin, and Yaley want that third position. Boyer's got it. Sorensen right in front of them in second. Harvick is the leader. Edwards taking a peek under Yaley there, going into 1.
He definitely drove it down in there, Carl Edwards in the 60, but Yaley in the 18 is able to beat him off the corner. Car, the 20 car, is just not that good back in traffic, or either they have not made the right changes to that car. Right now, we've got a battle right there with Regan Smith in the 35, Aaron Fike in the 43. That's a battle for 14th position.
Great job by both of those young drivers here today. There they are side by side. Down to turn 3, headed for 4.
Again, I go back and make note, Regan Smith at the very beginning of the race had to make a pit stop under green to pull tape off, was running warm, and here he is battling back in the top 15.
Regan Smith still looking for his first top 10 of the season. Meanwhile, Denny Hamlin is 4th in that number 20, followed by J.J. Yaley. There's Hamlin in the 20. That his first win at Mexico City this season.
I'll tell you what, while those guys right there on the left-hand side of the screen are battling for 4th, I've been watching this battle for the lead on the right-hand side of your screen. If Kevin Harvick misses his mark any part at all of the corner, that 41 car, Reed Sorensen, he's going to be there. Reed is real good through the middle of the corner right now, and by that, he's able to get off corner good.
The last lap, Reed Sorensen was a good bit quicker than Kevin Harvick. Larry Mack said he's closing the gap. 24 laps remaining to settle this one.
For the most part, they've got pretty clean racetrack in front of them. It's going to be a matter. Kevin Harvick misses his mark, getting in the corner. There's the battle with the teammates again for 4th place. J.J. Yaley in the 18 to the inside of Denny Hamlin. And meanwhile, Carl Edwards in the 60, he's going to come to the play on this picture. Just Denny Hamlin's car, Hamlin's just got away. He can't keep the car down right now.
See Hamlin go up the hill a little bit. Carl Edwards smells it. He knows he's got a shot to get by. Let's see if Hamlin can. This time Edwards peaks on the high side.
Denny Hamlin got a good run off of turn 2 that time.
There's Yaley in the 18 car. He's 4th. Carl Edwards in the 60, battling Hamlin for 5th.
But I'm going to tell you what, boys, back up front, the last 5 laps, Reed Sorensen, that 41 car, he has been better than Kevin Harvick for about 4 laps of that. And you can see about a car length back, he just goes through the middle of the corner so much better. 21 laps to go this next time by. Right there, he pulls it down the bottom. See how much he closes the gap, and he's able to maintain from the center off.
We can see their speeds on the computer scoring monitor. Reed Sorensen, the only driver over 160 miles per hour on that last lap, and he has closed the distance. He's knocking on that door, Larry Mack.
Let's watch him down the backstretch here, and this next time through 3 and 4. This is where he has been just a little bit better, so slightly than Kevin Harvick in 21. Boom! Right there when he picks the throttle up, you can see him close that gap just a little bit. Down in turn 3 and 4, not so much in 1 and 2.
A car length the distance. Sorensen closes even closer. On board with Kevin Harvick.
See, he don't really close the gap down there in the middle of turn 1 and 2. It's down in 3 and 4 where he just keeps chipping away at it. And if nothing else, he's aggravating Harvick right now.
20 laps to go.
Now he's going to look at the high side just a little bit. They stayed pretty dead even that time, but he knew he had about run out of room he could chip away at, so he moved the nose of the car up just a little bit.
It was Was he giving Harvick just something to think about, or was he really taking a look at that high side?
You never know what a 20-year-old might be thinking back there. He's actually lost a little ground now. It's to about 3 car lengths, 18 to go next time by.
Kevin Harvick, 17 career wins in the NASCAR Busch Series. Sorensen with 2.
Looks like Kevin Harvick has either stepped it up just a little bit, or possibly Sorensen in the 41 used his stuff up, because he's starting to stretch it out now, and now they're starting to catch some lap cars, which certainly could play a factor in this.
Harvick gets by Jorge Getters in the 49. Getters in the 24th position. 5 laps down.
And I'm going to tell you what, Sorensen really closed the gap, but right now he can't get through the middle of turn 1 and 2, and off of turn 2 as good as Harvick in the 21. Not that many laps ago, they were pretty dead even in 1 and 2, and that looks like Harvick pulls a bunch down the backstretch because he gets off the corner so much better.
And as you said, Sorensen pulls up, makes his move in turns 3 and 4. Harvick lost underneath the lap car of Mark McFarland in the 88. He's able to get by him. Sorensen negotiates safely by as well.
And the reason we keep showing you this battle, pretty much 3rd through about 11th or 12th, is somewhat single file right now. There you see Clint Boyer back there, the 2 car in the 3rd position.
That's the interval between 2nd and 3rd. McFarland, the lap car in front of them. Boyer goes past him on the high side. 16 laps remaining here at Nashville Superspeedway.
Now Denny Hamlin in the 20 car, he's somewhat settled back in the 5th position and has a little over a second cushion to Carl Edwards in the 60 car, who's back in the 6th position.
There's Denny Hamlin in the 20 car. He's fit. To keep you updated, behind them, Carl Edwards, John Wood, Ashton Lewis Jr., Bernie Lamar, and Kenny Wallace round out the top 10. There's Edwards in the 60. He wants by Getters.
And going back to Denny Hamlin, remember you get 5 points for leading a lap and 5 additional bonus points for leading the most laps. Denny Hamlin in the 20 has locked that up with 14 laps to go. So he'll get 10 bonus points today.
Hamlin has led 3 times for 88 laps. Boyer's been at the point twice for 54 laps. There's the interval between your leader, Kevin Harvick, and Reed Sorensen, and Harvick is starting to pull away, Larry.
Yeah, right now Harvick is faster than Sorensen by the amount that not that many laps ago Sorensen was that much quicker than Harvick. 13 to go.
We said Harvick has come in here as the points leader. There's Sorensen in the 41.
And Harvick only has 1 start here. It was back in 2001. He started on the front row, finished 7th.
Jeff Hammond has some info on Kevin Harvick.
Well, guys, it's just like what you're seeing from your vantage point. Shane Wilson just called Kevin Harvick and said, buddy, keep doing what you're doing right now. You're killing them off the corner, and you're pulling away. And I'm sure as far as Kevin Harvick's concerned, those are music to his ears.
Yeah, there's no question. The one car out there that does not want a caution with 12 laps to go right now would be Kevin Harvick in this 21, because it looks like he is able to stretch it out by quite a bit as we're really getting deep into this run.
Harvick trying to nail down his first win of 2006. Other winners this year include Greg Biffle, Jeff Burton, Kurt Busch, Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, Casey Kane, and Tony Stewart.
So if Harvick can hold Hamlin off, that would be 8 races, 8 different winners here in 2006.
Bernie Lamar in the 77, side by side. That's a battle for position with Ashton Lewis Jr. for the 8th spot. Lamar has it. Headed to the start-finish line.
10 to go. Kevin Harvick about halfway down the backstretch, starting to get into more and more lap cars, but right now he has stretched it out to about 3/4 of a second. And that time, Reed Sorensen in the 41, he's starting to try hard. He can. He has a pretty good cushion, and he really drove it into 3 and 4. The car really washed up the racetrack. There you see Regan Smith in the 35, Danny O'Quinn in the 50. This right now is a battle for the 14th position.
Two talented race car drivers there. Regan Smith just 22, Danny O'Quinn 20 years old.
And Aaron Fight in the 43 car, he's still battling for position with these guys. On the right-hand side of your screen, you see Kevin Harvick in the 21, 8 to go this time.
If Kevin Harvick can hold on, it'll be the 4th consecutive season in which he's won a NASCAR Busch Series race.
And I'm going to tell you what, with Denny Hamlin running back in the 5th position, he's going to stretch his points lead out to the point where he'll have almost over a full race cushion. The most you can gain or lose is 156 points in one race.
Kevin Harvick has only finished outside the top 10 once this year. He was 5th at Daytona, 8th at California, 3rd in Mexico, 3rd in Las Vegas, 11th in Atlanta, 2nd in Bristol, and 8th last week at Texas.
Now back to our teammates. J.J. Yaley in the 18 had stretched it out on Denny Hamlin just a few laps ago. But as we've got 7 laps to go, he has reeled him back in. This will be the battle for 4th position between teammates. Man, 2nd and 4th in the points. Hamlin 2nd in the points in the 20 car.
Just 7 laps to settle it here at the Nashville Superspeedway. Harvick has led twice for 58 laps. Stretched out to a nice lead over Reed Sorensen, Ashton Lewis Jr. in the 25, and I believe Sorensen is slow on the backstretch. Off of turn 2, Larry, off of turn 2.
The caution is out.
So for the 11th time, the caution flag is waved on lap 219. Comes out. Saw Sorensen slow up in the wall. Got to wonder if he'd used up his equipment a little bit trying to catch Harvick. It's flat in the right side, it looks like.
Yeah, because that right front tire may be soft, but it's not flat, I don't think. It's definitely low. You just wonder, is it from the impact or whatever? But he was definitely starting to really get on top of the wheel with that race car.
It ties the record for most cautions. It's happened twice, 11 caution flags.
Right front is definitely substantially down on that car. They're going to go ahead and try to change right side tires and make sure nothing's rubbing. Try to stay on the lead lap here, as it looks like we'll only have 2 or 3 laps to go.
Here's one of our speed cameras along the wall. You see him at the top of your screen just scrubbing off. It's over there between turns 1 and 2. Let's take a look at a different angle to see if we can see what happened to Reed Sorensen.
Already up against the wall. And normally when that happens, it's normally that a right front tire has went soft or went down on you. We've seen cars walk up the racetrack
in that very spot.
Yeah, that has the look. The car would not turn if the right front tire was down. When you see a car go straight like that, I couldn't find him a while ago in this replay, but when you see a car go straight like that, that's normally a sign the right front tire either went down or has went real soft on it.
So Reed Sorensen gave a valiant effort trying to chase down Kevin Harvick. He has pitted. You saw he got service, listed in the 19th position.
Now he has stayed on the lead lap, but he pitted before pit road was open. The penalty is tail in the longest line, which in the case of less than 10 laps to go, single file restart, he'll have to restart the race all the way at the back of the pack.
Closing laps, Jeff Hammond. What can Clint Boyer do, if anything, to catch Kevin Harvick in the 21?
Well, it's yet to be seen, but according to his crew, it's not over yet, and I think that's exactly what Clint wanted to hear. And he'll be putting a pretty serious charge on his teammate right there in the 21 car. But I can promise you, he's going to be smart enough not to go up there and wreck his teammate, because I'm sure the owner, Richard Childress, would not like that, would he, Larry Mack?
No, he would not. Richard Childress had a theory with his team cars. is race each other as hard as you can, but two things. Don't help somebody beat your teammate, and do not wreck your teammate no matter what the circumstances are. That was pretty much his two house rules. But I think the thing about it, with these cars sitting out there with about 60 laps on their tires, we've seen it with Kyle Busch early in the race, is make sure you see Kevin Harvick here going back and forth trying to make sure those tires are good and clean, is make sure you don't spin the wheels on this restart. That could be a dying blow if you do that. And it happens easier on the concrete surface like here at Nashville than on asphalt, it seems like.
So we are going to restart this race. You see the lights are off atop the pace car. We'll set it for you. Kevin Harvick is the leader, followed by Clint Bowyer, J.J. Yaley, Denny Hamlin, and Carl Edwards. And that's the prize, the Gibson Custom Guitar.
Two unique trophies in racing. The grandfather clock at Martinsville and that Gibson guitar here at Nashville. They've been giving that away for years. They used to give it away at the old Fairground Speedway.
How many of those grandfather clocks does DW have, like 12?
11 or 12, unless he gave a few to Hammond. Now, this is not considered a green-white checkered because we have 2 laps to go. Kevin Harvick bringing them down really slow. He gets a good start. Yaley, the 18 car, spun his tire. That opens the door on the outside for his teammate, Denny Hamlin, in the 20.
Harvick leads him down into turn 2, followed by Clint Bowyer. Yaley's alongside Hamlin.
But Hamlin got a good run on the high side there, and he's going to take the 3rd position away. This is the battle right here for the 9th position. Paul Menard in the 11 car, about 10 lap pressure tires. Kevin Harvick, white flag this time.
1.33 miles separating Kevin Harvick and victory lane. Can he hold off Clint Bowyer, Denny Hamlin, and J.J. Yaley? Harvick down the back stretch, holding off Bowyer.
Just needs to hit his marks, getting down into turn 3 and 4. He's pretty much been doing that all day long, right around the bottom of the racetrack.
Harvick off of turn 4. Looks like he'll hold off the challenge of Clint Bowyer and win for the 18th time in his NASCAR Busch Series career.
Bowyer 2nd, Hamlin 3rd, Yaley 4th, Carl Edwards 5th, and the first non-Nextel Cup regular, 6th, John Wood in that 47 car. Bernie Lamar, the rookie, in 7th.
8 races, 8 winners in this 2006 NASCAR Busch Series season.
But the 21 team now, they get their 2nd win of 2006. I mentioned it a while ago, they won Atlanta with Jeff Burton last month.
Congratulations to Kevin Harvick, who wins the Pepsi 300. We'll come back and talk to him and the top finishers here at Nashville.
The Busch 300 on FX is presented by Subway, Drive Hard, Eat Fresh, and brought to you in part by Netscape and by John Deere.
Kevin Harvick wins for the 18th time in his NASCAR Busch Series career and heats the hide for the fans here at the Nashville Superspeedway. Matt Yoakum in victory lane.
And Kevin Harvick climbs out for the first time here at Nashville to get that Gibson guitar, a winner. You had a great job almost smashing it there up at driver intros. But what a great, more here comes in. What a great job, though, not only by you, but by this pit crew behind you here.
Yeah, what a great day. U.S. Coast Guard Chevrolet. It was good. We got in the back of the 5 there and had a little bit of fender damage, but Shane did a great job keeping the car freed up for me to keep the thing turning at the end of the race as it got cool here. So great way to break in the new pit crew this weekend, and for Clint to finish 2nd. Great day for RCR. So
how nervous do you think Richard was? He wasn't even here, but having his 2 cars up there, and you know the team rules.
Yeah. Well, I think Richard is probably a little more lenient than most people, so he wants us to race, and he enjoys a good race. So hopefully he's shot an elephant in Africa, but we'll send him away more often if we're going to win.
Oh, congratulations to Jeff Hammond.
Yeah, we're down here with his teammate, Clint Bowyer. Awesome run right there by Rich Racing today, and you finally finished 2nd here.
Yeah, we,
it was a good day for us. We kind of elected to stay out there in the beginning, and, it bit us, but I thought it was going to be a good call. AC Delco Chevrolet was strong all day. It's just you got two cars set up the same. It's hard to get back by the other one, but, it was a good day for us, good way to turn things around, and that's what we was looking for.
Guys, good way to turn things around, he says.
All right, thanks, Jeff. Let's take a look at the unofficial results for the Pepsi 300 presented by Subway. 4 Chevrolets there in the top 10.
Teammates finished first and second. Teammates finished third and fourth. Stephen Wallace finishes 12th.
Good job by the youngsters. Regan Smith, Danny O'Quinn, Aaron Fike.
Ron Hornaday finishes 17th in a backup car. Kyle Busch involved in 3 cautions today. The last one finally put him out of this thing.
See the cars that did not finish the race. Curtis Davis, the first car out. Let's take a look at what's headed your way. Next weekend, NASCAR moves to Phoenix, and our coverage begins on Thursday with the Nextel Cup qualifying on speed. Then Friday, it's Busch Series qualifying, followed by Nextel Cup practice. Then Busch Series racing, presented by Netscape on FX. Next Saturday begins with NASCAR Race Day on speed, leading up to Nextel Cup Series racing with a Subway Fresh 500 on Fox. Then NASCAR Victory Lane wraps up the entire weekend on speed. Our coverage of NASCAR continues next weekend across the Fox network as we look at our updated point standing.
And there's those teammates, first through fourth. You've got Harvick and Boyer first and third. You got Hamlin and Yeley third and fourth.
So Kevin Harvick gets to celebrate his 18th NASCAR Busch Series victory. Hope you've enjoyed part of your Easter weekend with us here at the Nashville Superspeedway. For Larry McReynolds, Jeff Hammond, Matt Yoakum, I'm Steve Burns, thanking you on behalf of the entire NASCAR on Fox racing team. Hope you have a happy Easter. We've enjoyed having you along for the ride. We'll see you next weekend in Phoenix. Thanks for being with us, everybody.